I'm using.
We are Brightside Home Theater.
Hey, home theater nerds, welcome to the Brightside Home Theater Podcast. The Home Theater Podcast, it's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
The scenes.
Nice. There we go. Whew, big week. We have a lot of good stuff to get to looking at our notes. I've been excited about this week's podcast. Well, pretty much since last week's podcast.
Since last week's podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's kind of how it goes, you know. Can't wait to sit down. Yeah, I have a mess of a tweak. It's been a I'm sure you guys saw what I wrote, but it's changed even since then. On that of a correction type thing. It's weird, such situation I have going on with my Apple TV situation here. But do we want to, let's quickly go through our experiences for this week. Obviously, I've already titled the show. If you're watching this live on YouTube, you saw the graphic. You might have seen the graphic already. But yeah, so we'll get to that one last. But John, why don't you start out? You're still going with your...
Yeah, mine's pretty easy because we're still going through Game of Thrones. So I don't have really anything else to add to what I've already said 2 weeks in a row. But we're still doing that. And then we did watch The Last of Us episode 1 last night.
Yep.
So
Nice.
that's it for me. Yep.
Nice. All right. Steve?
Well, I have had to cheat a little bit.
No,
it's
not
been
at
a
all,
very,
'cause I love
very-
your list.
It's been a very busy week with work and my best friend's birthday celebrations at the weekend, which were messy. So lots of time that I'd normally spend in the cinema room has been out and about or stressing about significant major cases that I've been dealing with. But on my list, I've got, so the cheats are a couple of films I watched a little while back that I removed from my list over Christmas because I had so much.
Yeah.
So from famine to feast or feast to famine, either. So I've got Sucker Punch on Blu-ray in Neural X, Pulp Fiction 4K Neural X, and then I've got Strange Days, which we touched on last week, which I saw this week. Made special time to see that.
I can't wait to talk
And
about
then
that.
I've got, and then as a result of a Twitter poll, and 51% of the followers that could be bothered to to vote, I watched The Last of Us Part 1 last night, Episode 1 last night, and then I am halfway through Black Adam in 4K as well. Not at the moment, obviously. You know, it's important that I focus on the show, but but yes, I'm halfway through that as well. As a direct result of a conversation with John yesterday, I thought I would make time. So so all good.
Nice.
Good.
All right. I have wrap up with Jack Ryan, season 3, episode 8, with some tweaks in there. Kaleidoscope, which I finished that series from Netflix. I can't wait to tell you guys about that one. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, the Nicolas Cage feature. Saw that. How to Train Your Dragon 2. I started revisiting the Batman. I'm about halfway through that. Also, The Last of Us. And so that's pretty much, that's the milk at the back of the store for me. I don't know about you guys, but I'm gonna spoil it for everybody. I can't wait to talk about this next week. I can't wait to talk about it this week. This one's gonna be fun.
9 weeks.
Yeah. 9 weeks. And are they all? I don't know. We'll talk about it when we get there.
They're not all an hour and a half.
No. Yeah.
John and I.
There's
See
not enough
that?
game.
See that, Steve? When you've been around us long enough, you'll. John's not even listening. He's for
I know. I'm looking at listener
people,
experiences.
John's
Yeah.
looking down. He's like not even near his mic, and he's like just listening. He just knows me. It's like it's a bang, right? And I'm like, are they all? And John looks up from his phone, and goes, no, they're not all an hour and a half. Damn! Nailed it. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh,
I was just reading ahead. I was doing my homework.
yeah, because
Before class was over.
as you guys know, a little peek behind the curtain for the people watching, anybody paying attention, but they see all my notes now, so they're like, I never ever understood how to take good notes. My notes are so detailed. It's like it's literally written out what I want to say, because I don't know how to take good notes, and it's like pretty much if I say it in the show, I probably wrote it down. No, I'm just kidding. Because I go on
I'm
too
always
many
telling my
tangents.
students not to do that. I'm always telling them
Right.
to just have bullet points,
Shorthand,
not to have
yeah.
copious notes. Yeah.
That's not good for me. I need more guidance than that because whew, I can go in many directions. Give me a bullet point. Yeah, bullet point. Let's talk about that for a little while. Bullet point. Why is it called a bullet point? Arrows were around before bullets. Why didn't we say arrow point? John's getting aggravated and Steve's like, he's serious. All right.
All right.
Peek into the mind of me. Not
Yeah.
cool. All right. Let's get to this week's donations. And we have let's start with that's actually, while you guys read the new patron, okay? You guys do that. I'm going to do something really quick and look up the new patron.
Yeah, I was going to say, because
of the
I'm
week.
still the Patreon supporter of the week. So.
I know.
Yeah.
So why don't
Do you
one
want
of
to do
you
a new
take
one then, John?
that?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we have one new Patreon subscriber this week, Chai City Savage. It became a new patron, so thank you, Chai City Savage.
Yep, we'll hear more from him. I know to him now. We'll hear more from him a little later in listener experiences. He reached out to me, very interesting how things come to be. But yeah, so thank you very, very much, Chai City. Really appreciate that. Adding a new patron. It's been a while since we've had a new patron, so
Yeah.
really appreciate that. No boxes of popcorn this week, but our patron of the week is Andrea Minoya, Nadrea.
Andrea.
Andrea. There you go.
I believe he's
John.
our Italian. He's our
Yes.
Italian listener. Yeah.
Yep. Patron for 5 months. So thank you, Andrea. Andrea.
Surely, Deej, it should be grazie, shouldn't it? Come on.
Grazie.
That's
Back in school. I forgot I was back in school. Here we go. Oh, okay.
It's like the only word of Italian I know.
Had to come up, didn't it? Had to come
I knew it would come in handy one of these days.
And very, very big. You know what we forgot to do last week and haven't done since we've been back? And
Digital copies.
Digital copies. Thank you. Yes. Thank you to Justin Van Camp, who asked last week about that. He asked just that. And he, a couple of days after the podcast, after the live stream, he asked about the if we're still doing it. And I said, absolutely. We have a ton of movies still to give away. And you get going in these things. So thank you to Justin for mentioning that. And what was really cool about it is sometimes when people do stuff like that and be like, because I'm interested in getting some more movies. Justin wanted to give away more movies. So first up, that one we'll do right now. First person to ask, Beauty and the Beast, the live action version. We have a digital copy for that. And let me list off what I still haven't had claimed here. The Sum of All Fears, Deepwater Horizon, Patriot Games, Last Night in Soho. That's huge. That's a big one. I mean, these are all big ones. These are all good ones. But Last Night in Soho is from last year. John Wick Parabellum Chapter 3. John Wick Chapter 2. So we got all the John Wicks. Edge of
Have you got John Wick 4? Because I quite like that one.
It's a screener.
Screener. Edge of Tomorrow. We have that twice here. Dan Carpenter gave it away. I still have a question mark next to it. Nobody's claimed it, and Mark has also given it. Hasn't been claimed. Home Alone hasn't been claimed yet. Duh.
You don't want to take that one, Deech?
No.
Yeah.
No, that's why it's there. I didn't take it. I watched it, and I thought I'd give it away. But that was Dan, stepping up, putting his money where his mouth was. And he's like, look, he gave me the digital copy so that I could watch it. And I was like, you know what? I'll just pull it up on Disney Plus. But for somebody that wants to actually have it and take it everywhere with them, knock yourself out. We also
presumably for you, Deej, that's like some sort of cursed monkey paw, is it? It's like I've got to get rid of Home Alone.
Can't give it away.
Can't give this
Can't
thing
give it away.
Yeah, exactly. Resident Evil, the final chapter, and we still have a digital code for Top Gun Maverick out there. Let me add in Full Metal Jacket. We'll do that one as well this week. So
We're just going to give them all away this week?
Nope, there's still more. Trust me. Trust me. So, and I'd also like to add in the disclaimer. It's been busy. Things happen. If I've already given it away and you just heard that, please let me know. Because I'm trying to organize this as best as I can, but I have a ton of movies here. I put little notes next to each one on where it goes. Like, I know who's gotten what. Like Mark V got the Spears and Munsell Blu-ray. I have them all here, right? At least I think he's the one that got it, but I'll probably get, no, that was me. Dan got it.
It was Brock.
Yeah, it was Brock.
If in doubt, it's Brock.
It's Brock, exactly. So who knew? But yeah, so there's a bunch of digital code. Oh, and one more from 2018. We have A Star Is Born, which I believe was from you, John.
That was from me, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Maverick was from me as well. Although
I have
you
like
you got a
five
bunch
Mavericks.
of them,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have 5 of them here. One of them also, yeah. So, all right. Let's see. So, where does that put us now on this lovely list of notes? All right, we ready to get tweaks of the week? And let me bring up my soundboard here before we get into that. Come on, people. All right, tweaks of the week. Great. And my sound's not playing. What the hell's going on here? Oh, for the love.
It's all the same to me either way. I don't know if it's playing or it's not playing.
Yeah, I went with
Where's
a
the
Wilhelm
guy from Bleach
scream.
Academy when we need him?
Right. Nothing's working, so I went with a Wilhelm scream. That one worked. So, tweaks of the week. What do we got, kids?
All right, go on, John. I want to know how you've solved your dancing subwoofer issue.
Well,
Thanks to Mark V.
Yeah, I wrote that I solved my wandering subwoofer issue, but I didn't actually solve it. Mark V solved it for me. It's super simple. We've already we mentioned it a few weeks ago. My words are failing me now. Exercise equipment mats. He sent me a link to, rather than a mat, they're 4x4 inch squares that you would put under different pieces of equipment rather than a whole flat mat. Because I didn't want the 4 foot by 4 foot mats on the floor in my living room. So he sent me a link to these little squares. They come in a set of 12, which was perfect because I needed 8. And they've worked like a charm. I put them under there. It's been a week a little over a week now, I guess I got them in. And I've watched a lot of, Game of Thrones. But Game of Thrones has some pretty hefty bass throughout. And they haven't moved an inch. So far, so good. Been pretty happy with them. And they are very indiscreet. Like, you don't really know they're there.
Wouldn't that just be discreet? I'm pulling a Steve here.
You're right.
I was going to say, what's going on?
Is that a double negative?
Yeah.
I'm rubbing off on you there, Deej. That's not good.
Well, they're not indiscreet.
I
How's
see
that?
it's
I'll
fun,
put a
Steve.
double.
It's fun.
I'll put a double negative in there. They're not indiscreet.
Triple brings us right back around.
Yeah.
3 lefts make a right. That type of thing.
They're very discreet. You don't know they're there. They've actually also helped. They've helped cut down on a little bit of vibration too. So yeah,
nice.
they've worked out pretty well. Yeah.
Awesome.
So you can remove the child gates now to stop them from escaping into the streets.
I had them bungee corded to the wall.
I like that one better because then they could have room to dance.
Yeah.
They're coming out and bouncing back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm slightly concerned we're going to see them in this year's Dancing with the Stars, introducing John
might.
subwoofers.
Yeah. Well, if I
bad
need the
could they be?
cash, I'll just take the mats out.
That's the route to the Kaleidescape right there. There you go.
Now I have seen the. I did get the link on Twitter today for like the washing machine feet, which also look interesting. My only concern with those are that I don't think the cups on those are actually big enough for the shock feet that are underneath the subs to fit in there. Because if you think about the feet on the bottom of a washing machine, they're, half dollar size or something. Yeah, so those probably wouldn't work. Although those would be great. I'd actually like to try those out, but I don't think they'll work. So. I didn't know that anything I said was that funny. But
Got the giggles tonight.
The washing machine thing. Well, we got a new. This was like 5 years ago. We got a new washing machine set, and it's the stackable, but it's the extra large capacity stackable, and it's a front loading washing machine and down low, and then the lighter piece, the dryer, goes on top. And
so how does Jen get the clothes out of the dryer?
It's a chore. No, it's not a joke. She's 4'10". It's like she loves it.
I think she's on a ladder.
She's like, it's not often I'll be like, oh, you didn't get it all, hon. No, my son and I put it in, and we bolt all the pieces together. We slide it in, and here we go with the inaugural load. We throw that in. John.
Beavis.
So just by coincidence, I think the only three home at the time were me, my wife, and my son. And we go downstairs to watch a movie, and we're just like, I don't remember bass being in this movie like this. And then I stop, and I'm like, holy crap, what the hell is going on in the house? The next floor up is the washing machine, and it's just, this thing is dancing. I'm like, this can't be right. Well, apparently there's a few bolts you're supposed to take out of before using that they put in place for shipping for the drum. I was like, uh-oh. So the drum is trying to move. It's like, it's not. But everything else was. It's been running like a champ ever since. My wife's like, do you think you broke it? I go,
good thing you didn't burn the motor out or anything.
I know. Well, luckily I heard it.
Right.
But it was loud. It was shaking the house. And
but that accounts for how some people say they've got more bass in movies than others.
Right.
Yeah. It's just that. God,
they're just doing the laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah. That Schindler's List. I've never seen so much bass in a film. That was incredible.
That was so much fun. What?
And look at how white my whites are.
Oh, God.
Black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
man.
it was. But my wife's like, do you think you damaged it? I go, nah. I'm like, can't be the only one to have ever done that. I'm like, I'm sure it's durable enough. It's been fine ever since. So, I don't know. But, all right. See? Tangents, boys. Tangents.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, bring us back on and tell us your tweak of the week.
Mine's a really stupid one. But I was saying a couple of weeks ago because my Twitter handle was Legal Beagle OK, all capitals. And I said at the time, you said, you can change that, Steve. And I said, no, you can't. That's wrong. And then this week I realized you can change that, Steve. So just in case anyone's wondering, they might be thinking something weird's going on because lots of people have been tagging it. And then I suddenly realized that now it's all lowercase as it should be. So I don't look like some sort of psychopath who does everything in caps. Because I can't think of anyone that would, do that without going political. Anyway, so at least now it doesn't look totally weird. So it's all back to that. And that's my tweak of the week. My OCD has been satiated, which is good to know because it did irritate me.
Did it? Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it did.
That's funny.
Anyway, that's nonsense. There you go.
All
Go
right.
on, Deej. Give us some proper stuff to get our teeth
All
into.
right. My first one is after we talked last week, and Jonathan said that he set his projector to a certain setting, and I started thinking about it. It's like, see, I get this mindset of like I like everything the way the director intended, and I ended up doing this for Mandalorian a while back too. But then every now and then somebody like Jonathan will remind me, and you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. We're streaming. This isn't what the director intended. So have at it, right? And adjust it to your liking. So I did. I set up my film 1 on my projector to I put enhanced contrast ratio contrast. I put I bugged with I actually put on, believe it or not, the lowest setting, the motion smoothing and stuff. I did all these little things just to try and smooth things out, make it, and it made a difference. I don't use it very often. I used it on Jack Ryan. We'll talk about that when we get to that. And the last episode has some stuff in it that it actually made a difference, and I can bounce back and forth between that and my reference setting and everything and see which one I like. And then the other thing is you can also see, like, sometimes you can, when you're actually watching something of good quality, whether it be disc or, whatever you've got that's, this is good. It could be a stream as well. It could be a stream that just looks really good, and we'll talk about some of those. And you go to the film 1 where you have some of these modifications on there, and it'll show you what you're missing by bumping this or doing that. And because, like, I'm trying to think of the scene I saw that you could see details in their hair in the shadows, and then you go to this, and while your blacks might be deeper and they might look better, and it's like it's more closer to black, but how much detail you're missing there, because you're probably not supposed to have that, right? So that was pretty cool. But I mean, again, when you're streaming and it just doesn't look right, don't be afraid to mess around with it, because I forget that a lot and don't want to mess with things. But and to that, because I was bouncing around and checking these things, I saw this weird thing, and I'm putting this to you guys, putting it to the listeners, anybody. When we go on Netflix or you go on any of these things, they'll put up, whether it's in Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision, Ultra HD, Ultra 4K, and stuff like that. And that's based off of what the Apple TV sees that it's sending it to. Okay, so like if you don't have an Atmos and capable anything, you're not going to be able to see that on the TV. It's just going to say 5.1, and we've known that. Well, I started seeing, so downstairs in my theater, I'm seeing Ultra HD. So you guys know in the notes, I'm like, that's a correction, because I thought Kaleidoscope was in HDR, 4K HDR, and I'm seeing it on my thing after I recorded last week. I'm looking and I'm like, wow, it's only an Ultra HD. So I start looking at other things, and I looked at Wednesday, as a matter of fact, because John had talked about that one. That's the next one I want to start, and that's in Ultra HD. So then I went and I looked at The Gray Man, which I've seen. No, that's Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. So that shows up. So I go back. No, it's in Kaleidoscope is in Ultra HD. So I'm like, oh, they mustn't have put it out in HDR. Okay. But as the week went on, no, that's not the case. It is in Dolby Vision. And it's like when I'm watching it on my Apple TV and I swipe down, it brings up the graphic underneath, tells you your timeline, but it also tells you what it's in. Dolby Vision, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. I'm like, okay, my receiver's saying Atmos. I can get all the specs through the Lumagen, what's going into it, what's going out of it. Nope, I'm seeing full everything there. Fantastic. Every time I bring it up, it says Ultra HD. And it's like, now it's kind of like my OCD, Steve. I'm like, whoa, I want that to say Dolby Vision. Right? I want it to see, because apparently I don't have Dolby Vision in my theater, but I think as long as you're pumping out HDR, it'll tell you, Dolby Vision up top, because Gray Man, Dolby Vision. I'm trying to think of some other shows I've seen that were Dolby Vision, says that. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but it can be frustrating. But I found it to be the most consistent of what you were getting was if you just swipe up while you're watching it, and you could see at the bottom, it'll say 4K, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. And then I'd go upstairs and do it. And in my living room, I got Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, because the TV is Atmos capable. But in my bedroom, I have Dolby Vision, but it's not Atmos capable, so it'd say 4K Dolby Vision 5.1. But then in my bedroom, Dolby Vision would come up on the screen, on the home screen of it, which is what I wanted to get in my theater. And then downstairs on the OLED, nope, that says 4K HDR. I'm like, what the hell? Like the crappiest TV in the house is giving me what I want on the home screen. I'm like, so it's just a weird thing. That was Netflix. The other ones, I didn't want to fall down that rabbit hole, but yeah, it was a weird issue that I'm not sure about.
Yeah, I think some of that is Netflix trying to give you as much information as possible about what you're seeing. Whereas, Amazon just says UHD, doesn't it? Prime in the corner. You get the little corner flash that just says UHD. They're not giving you any information about that unless you can see it on your receiver or, as I said, by swiping up. And Disney's the same. I think, again, it just says it's either 4K or it's not. And it's either Atmos or it's not. They're not giving you a lot of info. But in my experience, I think Netflix really does try to give you that info, whether it is 4K, is it 4K HDR, is it Ultra HD, is it Dolby Vision, is it Atmos 5.1. And I've seen before shows where I'm like, well, that's 4K, and just assume that it's 4K because I saw it, and then realize it's not in HDR. It's not in. So there are lots of different variations, it would seem, that those of us that buy physical media, and Kaleidoscape's near as damn it, isn't it? Same thing, essentially, is that we are just used to it's 4K, it's HDR, and what's the sound coming out? Whereas I think Netflix does have a lot of different variations to it, and I've certainly encountered that. But not to that extent. I haven't, I always sort of think, well, if it's just streaming, it's streaming, and if I can get something that looks good, that'll be all right.
Yeah.
And as we've said before, I mean, Netflix is one of the best ones next to Apple.
Yeah.
Netflix is pretty good. I mean, I watched that Arcane and really enjoyed that, and I could have sworn that was in almost 4K, but obviously it wasn't.
Right.
But it looked like it. It looked pretty much like it was. So I think it's a quirk of Netflix maybe. And not playing very happily with the Apple TV. Yeah, well, no one else would care.
Most people don't even pay attention to that stuff, and it's
sure.
I'm not. I'm talking about a place card that before you even hit play, and I want the right thing. I'm like, I want proof. Well, it's right there while you're watching it. Yeah. No, I want it all. So.
Well, I think we glossed over it slightly there, DJ. But the motion smoothing thing, I'm sorry, I'm going to be emailing your mate Tom Cruise and telling him that DJ Briggs is putting motion smoothing on.
Honestly
stop him watching Maverick.
Yeah,
ever again.
No, I own it. Believe me, I own it. Multiple copies. Go ahead. You can't shut me down.
You don't think Tom Cruise would come sort of parasailing through your roof and confiscate every copy of Maverick?
If he came through this house, tried to grab it, you'd be tweeting pictures of a lot of duct tape and a frightened Tom Cruise in my home theater. It's like stuck to We're going to start with risky business and work our way up.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're going to pry my copy of Maverick from my cold, dead hands.
With the outsiders.
Yeah. Oh. Well, yeah. Oh. Anyway.
Anyways, all right. Now that we've devolved into kidnapping, well, hey, he came here.
Right.
I just didn't let him leave.
It's just detaining.
Yeah,
it's
that's
actually kidnapping.
Detained
false
against your
imprisonment.
will.
We call that here.
Yeah. Well, hey, you came in. Breaking and entering. Can't I do you what I want now?
Right. Citizen's arrest.
There you go. All right. No, I honestly, that part there, I just did that for fun. I wanted to see if it would do anything. I've never used it, so I want not on this projector. Years ago, I used it back with a projector, a 720 projector I had. That I used it because I thought it looked cool. I was like, look at that. It looks like a soap opera. My wife's like, shut it off. I was like, I know. All right. That's it, right? You don't. Nothing else has changed for you,
Nothing else
Steve.
for tweaks.
From the time I was talking.
Nope.
Good. All right. You ready to get to listener experiences for this week?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
All right. There we go. Let's get these plastered here, flattened out. Okay. Yeah. All right. We'll start with this first one from John Steve Brockstar. He says, commenting from last week's live stream. He says, "Hey, triplets. Somehow I must have missed you guys talking about the Fabelmans. Just guessing as you guys chuckle every time it's mentioned. Did you not like it? As a truish story about Spielberg, I absolutely loved it. I want a part 2 so bad as the ending was just about to get super exciting. Act 2 of his life." So
We've never discussed it or seen
No, the
it.
the joke was because we were talking about our three scenes. Well, we were talking about our 3 demo scenes on the desert island,
right.
And John had picked 2 Spielberg films, and so then we what was it, Private Ryan, wasn't it? And
and Ready Player One.
Ready Player One, yeah. And so then as a joke, I said the Fabelmans, thinking there's not going to be anything. So that's what we were giggling about. I don't think any of us have seen.
No,
I certainly haven't seen
I
it.
have it in
I
my
haven't seen
queue. I'm ready to watch it. I was gonna try and get it in for this week, but I already had quite a list. I have some that, so I was gonna get it for this week. But
I mean, I hear it's great. It's Oscar contending, isn't it? It's up there for Golden Globes. I think it may have won some Golden Globes. And then it's so it's tipped for Oscars. I mean, it looks great, but in fact, I think it looks similar to that. What was the chap the thing? Yeah, there you go.
Say
You got it.
525.
520. Yeah, 520.
We
It's
are
been compared
connected.
to that, and a
Yeah.
lot of people were accusing him of stealing that from the Fabelmans, stealing it from Spielberg. And then you're like, all you have to do is go like, he started this movie in 2004. So you go to the production length of 525/77. So yeah, a little bit different. But yes, very similar movies. He even admitted that when we were talking to him. So, all right, Steve, you want to read the next one?
Okay, yeah, right. Bear with me again. Because
I
I see
think we
Southern
read
California.
this one last
Is
week.
this one?
Was this a
We
different
read
one?
this
No,
one.
this
Oh, yeah.
No.
I
This
gotta-
was a different one. No, this is the different one because last week we talked about George Lucas's height.
And that's what he's
And this
talking
is what
about
he's talking
here.
about. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
but
we were
last week
talking
we
about.
talked
the
about
fact,
it, so this is his response to us.
I think it's a
talking
new
about
one.
it.
The only problem is I see Southern California and you begin with bros, and I feel like reading it in some sort of California surfer talk, dude. And I've got no
And
idea
you
whether
did
he
that
talks
last
this
time
way.
to him.
I can't help it. I'm sorry. And let me apologize to I'm Lil Chilly Willy in Southern
British
California.
guy reading
Yeah.
California.
Dude.
It's like, not either
do it
of
the
the
other
2
way.
Americans that don't do surfer dude.
Right.
But well, let's get the British guy to do it. Okay.
It drives my students crazy because I'm always doing whenever we're doing legal stuff, we talk about what would you do next,
Legal
and I can't help myself but do a sort of really rubbish Keanu Reeves speed thing. What would you do, dude? And every time, and so apologies to Keanu and obviously to I'm Little Chilly Willy as well. Anyway, it reads as follows. It said, hey bros. Wow, I had no idea that George Lucas was 5'6". Must be in the water then, because I was born and raised in the same town / city as Lucas in Motown, aka Modesto, California. I went to the same high school as Lucas too. In the library behind glass, there was a small area honoring him. When the original Star Wars was being re-released in digital format in theaters again, prior to release of the next 3 movies, brackets episode 1 to 3, close bracket, I was able to buy a ticket that were $100 per ticket. Lucas, and is that Gallo or Jallo Winery?
Gallo,
Gallo, okay. Also based out of Modesto, joined together to provide a private screening a few days prior to being released nationwide. I wasn't able to meet Lucas. He's probably too short, probably didn't see him. But was able to sit a row in front of Lucas's sister and Wolfman Jack, famous radio DJ.
Yeah.
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My wife and I had an amazing time. Also, another annual tradition that Lucas made another movie was the first Saturday night after school was let out was graffiti night, where everyone would cruise up and down a street, McHenry Street, and had all the best classic cars and fun
American
times.
Graffiti.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Oh,
Again, apologies for the accent, both at the beginning, during, and at the end.
that's awesome. That's a crazy story. The original Star Wars and sitting in front, Wolfman Jack. Wow, I haven't heard of him. What did he use? Did you ever watch him, John, when he was on Dance Fever? Do you remember Danny?
Yeah, I do.
The judges.
Danny Thomas.
Danny Terrio, Danny Thomas.
Oh, Danny Terrio. Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. Danny Terrio.
Wolfman Jack was in the corner. Yeah. Oh my God. That's yeah. I haven't heard his name. Imagine that on this podcast. That's what brought up Wolfman Jack. Haven't heard him. We're bringing him back, boys. Maybe I can get him on the show. Oh man, that'd be hysterical. All right, Steve. John, you want to read
me?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a YouTube comment from Blue Wave from the home theater experience Escape from Alcatraz episode. It says, funny to hear you guys talk about movies that aren't that great, but are viewed favorably by people in the home theater community for its AV presentation. For years, when I read Blu-ray reviews, if a movie scored a 5 out of 10, but had really great picture and sound, I would automatically rate that movie an 8. I know what I was doing. I was applying the Brightside home theater ratings curve.
Yep. I like that.
Face.
Yeah. The ratings, the Brightside home theater ratings curve. I like that.
Yeah.
That's what this podcast is about. I love it. When I saw that comment, I was like, man, I'm like, people get us. They do. They really get us.
They really like me.
Exactly.
Sally Field special.
Yeah, exactly. We had that sounder here somewhere.
We did. Well, I think that was the other show, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but I
was,
still have it
chat.
here somewhere. Yeah, I know. Oh, I know I have it. It'll take me too long.
But we're going to talk about
But
it.
you can't
beyond
hear it
so.
anyways. I was just going to play another one that's from the other show that you can't hear.
We're going to talk about a movie later, which I think probably fits into that category for most people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know what else? The other thing, one of the reasons that I had him on the first time I had him on was Brent Butterworth. When he used to review stuff, he would do that. Now, he would be reviewing equipment, and he would pull out movies like that most people would be like, that's not a great movie, but he'd be talking about, he would use the scenes in that movie to talk about how great this piece of equipment was, or how, it didn't do that. And you're like, it'd be like him, like you get somebody of, Brent Butterworth saying in Hurricane Heist, the subwoofers really didn't, bring up the sound like I'm used to hearing. He would make comments like that. And so like, that's when I read stuff like that, it brings it down to people like us. And he'd be talking about like these $20,000 subwoofers or something, right? And you'd be like, I could never afford that. But now he's put it into my terms, and also to me brought credibility to a movie that most people wouldn't know, but I like because of home theater, right? And it's like, It's stuff like that I always thought was cool. And that's why I want, kind of one of the things I wanted to emulate here. And that's pretty much what I want to do, is like what we're doing is talking about movies that, maybe most people wouldn't like, but because of the home theater aspect of it, it floats our boat. So collectively on the bus bench.
Our collective boat.
Oh, speaking of that, now that we're in listener experiences, I didn't put it in here, but oh my God, my family and I were laughing because of the comments from Bus Bench on Twitter. It's like, you got into it with somebody and they're going, and I almost was like,
use English,
yeah. They're like, and you're like, you had to borrow it from America. And I was showing my family, I'm like, look at this stuff. And I'm like, and we were laughing because there's no term. Busman, we made it up. It's all us. It's us. It's like, it's not like in America we're like, yeah, I'm going down to the bus bench and wait for the bus. It's like, no, we just said it's a bus stop, and what do you sit on at a bus stop bench? So we said bus bench, and there was a whole discussion like, that's not a word. I was laughing.
Do you know what? I thought it was.
I
thought
know!
it was something from you guys. I didn't know. I was being too polite to say anything about it.
Exactly.
But
I'm like,
it's it's in the UK. It's bus stop, and I just figured that maybe
Yeah.
bus bench. Forrest Gump, he sat on a bench. It's got to be that.
No.
You know.
No, we made it up. It was like we're on a bench. Where else do you sit on a bench? It looks like the three of us sitting there waiting for a bus. And I'm like, I've got a new idea for a show open. Like a bus pulls up and we all get on and pulls away. I don't know. Like, what the hell? But I thought it was funny. I'm like, that's how great Twitter is. I'm like, people argue about anything. I'm like, bus bench isn't a term, and you're like, what did you said? You borrowed like the American vernacular or something like that from your. You said something like that, and you were like,
remember.
yeah, whatever it was. But it was hysterical because it went on for a little bit. I go, bus bench.
I just assume that's what you guys called it.
No.
I can't think of any film that they've referred to it. I mean, there is a movie called Bus Stop, isn't there? But
Yeah.
I couldn't think of any time in any film I'd ever heard it mentioned.
No,
and that, of
everything's
course,
Bus
is,
Stop.
Yeah, bus. Yeah, quite.
It's bus stop, and we
Well,
just
it's bus bench now. It's bus
Yeah.
bench now. Come on,
bus bench
that's it.
here. It's a bus bench
Yeah,
here.
we're
getting
patenting
ready
that,
for the
Hollywood.
DTS-HD bus.
Yeah, that's it. If you're going to do Die Hard on a bench, where there's mention of bus bench, we want our cut.
Yeah, exactly. So that was funny. All right. Let's see. I'm up next, right? All right. Love and Thunder, commenting from Escape from Alcatraz 4K. Congrats on the OLED DJ. Mine is an A80J as well, and I absolutely love it. But I know exactly what you mean about the cinematic feel of a projector. Picture quality, though, is just so great. I agree. I absolutely agree. I will couple that with the next gentleman, Mike Schramm. Says, so DJ, I'm curious, how would you compare/contrast your OLED to your Lumagen? And what I would say is it's hard to describe. I think the best way to put it is the OLED has the deeper blacks, but what the Lumagen allows is what I was talking about earlier with that detail in the hair. Okay, so typically on a projector, you're squashing, like what you're doing with your 820 is you're taking the image from the disc and you're cutting off like what the projector can't do, and you're simplifying it so that the projector can really shine at the brightness that it can shine. So it's cutting off some of that stuff, some of that information. What a Lumagen does is it takes that information and it makes it possible for the projector to hit every single piece of information. Now, what's interesting is if you were to do that on like a 65-inch television, it probably wouldn't make that much of a difference, because that information, like the detail that you're going to get in the higher ends, the gradations and stuff, are so tightly wound, your eye isn't going to be able to really perceive that. But on a big screen, 100 plus inches, now you're taking that gradation and you're spreading it out, and it's a little bit easier for your eye to perceive. So it's a little bit more beneficial. Okay. Go to an OLED. Now, typical, what is the biggest OLED? Like 85 inches, right? So I haven't experienced an 85 inch in my home. I have a 55 inch, and my theater is 110. So literally double the size, right? Diagonal. When you go from an OLED that's a smaller scale, same thing. All that detail is being squashed down. OLED is able to display it all, but it's a little bit harder for your eye to pick it up because everything's being squashed down. The blacks are deeper. Yeah, it's fantastic. Especially, I find it more dynamic and fun to watch in a lit room. When you turn the lights off, I find it to be a little, not distracting, because it's just too dark at times. It's like the deep blacks and stuff like that, but the detail's there, but because it's squashed down, I don't get to see the detail. But now when I go down to the theater and I go into a bigger screen, the blacks aren't as deep, but all that detail is there, and I'm constantly in a blacked out room. So I feel like that's the way it should be anyways. I mean, in my room. I'm not saying the way it should be for everybody. What I mean is, like, I'm seeing everything that I should see. To me, that's the difference. The Lumagen, all the Lumagen, and I've said this from the beginning, is that there's a lot of negativity towards projectors and that they don't get the details. They can't do a lot of this HDR. They can't do a lot of stuff. Well, the Lumagen, or any video processor, I should say, when I say any, Mad VR and the Lumagens, they allow you to get the same image, in my opinion, as that you can get with an OLED or any really good display. You're not missing anything. So how would I compare the two is, I think the Lumagen just makes it that a projector can get you there, sans the deep, deep black, right? But my black level on a projector up to my brightest brights, everything's there. Same on the OLED. I just prefer the big, big, big size. So that's the biggest difference. It's just the size. So, but yeah. So don't let anybody tell you that a projector can't do something, because it can, just needs some help. So, all right. Let's see. Steve, this is the last one. I actually did a better job this week. Did any of you guys actually trim some of these out too?
No.
No? Oh wow!
I didn't take them. I didn't take them out, but I didn't put in a couple that came through just kind of just little chit chat stuff rather than anything. So
Yeah.
But that was okay. Yeah, so it's all good.
So this is the last one before you get to it. But thanks to everybody that wrote in, like, great show, this, that. I mean, we're getting plenty of those. Adriano's good for that every week. We get them from everybody. Thank you very much to everybody. Keep them coming. We really appreciate it. But trying to keep this show moving, and I just slowed it down. But go ahead, Steve.
So this comes from Zach. I haven't got any other details of his name, but so it's Zach. It's an email.
I'll give you the details when you're done.
Yeah, it's the Patreon. This is the new Patreon.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah.
Again,
of course, right.
He's
Excellent.
right there with me. See, look at that.
Synergy. That's right.
Chai City Savage.
That's it. Chai tea.
him.
Right, got it. Okay, yeah. Right. Excellent. All right. Okay. So he says this is it looks to be an email titled "New Home Theatre Build." Okay, so it says, "Hey guys, I've been listening for a while and been really enjoying the show, and my kid as well during our rides into school. Spreading the word. Good man, Zach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Raising them right.
Says we're getting the next generation. That's what we want. Right. Okay. I've been meaning to reach out for a while, but DJ mentioning that he's moving forward with a new home theatre in a new construction house rang a bell with me. I'm going through the exact same process myself and have been absolutely drained thinking through all the decisions related to new construction. Just the theatre would be overwhelming, but having a whole house to build around it is massive. Completely agree with you there, Zach. All right. I've been in between houses while waiting for ours to be done, so I lost the last theatre I've had. The one I'm building now will be my third theatre that I've built, and I'm hoping this will be the last time. My temporary setup is just 2.1 channels, so I've been holding off on watching some movies until I can go to my planned 9.2.6 setup in the new house. Nice. I've been taking notes on all the movies and scenes mentioned on the show that I'll use to test out the theatre once I move in, but it's been so much fun listening to the show each week and hearing what you guys are watching. DJ, good luck with the house build. Really excited to hear about some of the tweaks you'll make in the new build to make your home theatre even better than it was before. And that's signed Zach.
Yeah. So I had a little back and forth with Zach today. That one came in today. And it's funny because that email came in, I can't remember if it came in before or after the Patreon alert that I get, that I sent to you guys. And I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, but you don't know, right? You don't like, all right, here we go. Because the two emails were different addresses. And the name that he uses on Patreon is like we said, it's Chai City Savage. Chicago City Savage, right? So, but then I saw the email. I'm like, oh, is it the same Zach? But you don't want to. So I reply to that email, the patron, like, thank you very much, blah, blah, blah. But then I see this, but I don't want to thank him because what if it's just a happy coincidence? And you don't want to be like, thanks for the patron. Oh, that wasn't me. okay, oops, I just put you on the spot. So.
Brock.
But yeah, then he did say in a later email, and he's like, he'd been wanting to do it for a while, and we really appreciate it. Not necessary, but greatly appreciated. But yeah, so it's funny. Steve and I were talking before about the stresses of this stuff, and I had said to Zach, he's going through it right now, and it's like, this is how I look at all of these things. Gave Steve a story about something that happened earlier in my life, pretty stressful. But we all have stresses, and what I'm going to go through, what Zach's going through, and, but at the end of it, on the other side, it's like you go, I did it. It's done. You get into John built his house. He had to move in with a friend. We all have these stresses, but what the stresses do for you is they make you appreciate when you have downtime, when things are good. And that's how I look at this stuff. It's like, it's like working out, right? If you don't work out, you don't get stronger. And working out is stressing your muscles and stressing your body, and you're stronger for it at the end. So I'm going to have something great at the end. My family's going to have something great at the end. My son's going to have something great at the end. And hey, it's going to take a year, but enjoy the ride. I'm going to try to enjoy the ride. I'm lucky. I get to stay in my house until my house is built because of the situation with my son. I feel for Zach. You got to move out and lose everything you have, but then on the other side, he's getting a 926 setup, which is very close to what I'm hoping for in mine. So congratulations, Zach. Good luck with all that, and we'll be talking. So thank you very much. Thanks for the support. What are we up to now? Coming soons? Is that it? We're up to
Yep.
We are cooking along here.
We are. Steve will
Yeah,
get
but it's
to
going
bed
to
early.
be, but it's going to be nice to get to the movies and not have to rush it.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anything you said because the sounder was playing. But speaking of that, we talk over each other a lot, I guess. People didn't hear your what was the movie last week? Oh, Tombstone. You said Tombstone
me?
last week John.
Oh.
I'm looking at you. Can't you see?
Yeah. Well, I didn't. I would say I didn't review anything but Game of Thrones.
No. We were
last
talking
week,
about
but-
movies that we wanted to see in 4K.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Steve
said
and I were
Tombstone.
so excited that you went Tombstone, and at the same, and like you got to two, and Steve and I went and Steve was like and then you're like Tombstone, like you said it again, and one of us was still going, and then I got multiple people when the podcast came out, the audio only.
Yeah.
First off, I got people on sending me timestamps. Multiple people sending me timestamps of the YouTube. What movie was John talking about? Which I think
was trying to say.
Right. What movie did he say? And then I can't remember who it was. One person was like, they wrote me, and then I got the obligatory text after or email afterwards. Oh, never mind. Steve just said it. So I'm getting these later, so I get them in a chain. I'm like, I'm about to. Oh, okay. But yeah, I had people. Then when the audio only podcast came out, people were hitting me up like, "What did John say?" And then like right away, I already knew because I'm like Tombstone, and I'm like, Steve says it later.
I mean, it would have been, they needed a bit of detective work. I mean, we said Val
Right.
Kilmer, we said
I know.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
how
did
many
some
films have they
lines
been in
from it,
together?
I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Huckleberry.
Yeah.
exactly.
No, but I love that people are that interested, though.
Yeah.
I mean, to take the time to be like
What
to
would
be
you say? Yeah.
to want to know what we say, but also correct us on like, hey, dum stop talking over each other. Hey, we can't help it. We're just three guys on a bus bench.
Right. It's a short bus.
And a short bench.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, that was. I'll take it.
That's probably not allowed anymore. I probably shouldn't have said that.
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna get canceled.
Canceled before you ever were.
That's right.
It's like,
Preemptively.
tens of listeners gone.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Oh, Zach's by the way, going back to Zach for a second, newest member of the green room. Got into the green room today.
Good deal.
Signed them up. Haven't had anybody sign up for that in a while. If you're interested in the green room, talk to me. I'll let you know what you need
quiet
to do.
This week, the green room.
Has it been quiet this week? I just went in. I hadn't been in there in a while, and I saw a lot of comments. I got to get back in there. Oh. But I love that I got all these highlights of things I've missed, so that's pretty cool. I'm like, it's, it's ticking along on its own. Glad everybody's having fun with it. Let's see. All right, so 4K releases this week. We have, this is why I brought it up. It's going to come up again later. Death Wish in 4K. These are all 4K releases for January 24th, 2023. Death Wish from 1974 in 4K.
Charles Bronson.
Yeah. Yep. He'll be coming up again later. Freaky in 4K. That's it. Freaky.
Ooh,
Never heard of it. From 2020.
I was waiting for Friday to come.
And so was I. I was waiting to say it. And it's like, no, it's just Freaky.
What would you like to know, fellas?
Oh, yeah, Steve's all about that one.
I see the cover of it. It's got the cover is
it's Vince Vaughn
and Catherine Newton, and she's holding
I remember that is a riff on
chainsaw.
Freaky Friday, right? He switches places with this. I actually wanted to see that. It sounds funny.
Really fun. It's really fun. I've got
a horror.
Yeah, I've seen
comedy?
it.
It's like
both.
kind of both, right? He switches places with the serial killer body or something like that.
Yeah, he is. Vince Vaughn is a serial killer that switches bodies with a sort of high school girl. And so you get this very funny thing whereby she's now in Vince Vaughn's body and trying to sort of hide from the authorities who are after him, stroke her. And then he, as the serial killer, is now stalking people as the high school girl. But it's very funny. Vince Vaughn is having a whale of a time playing this
a high school girl.
But it's very, very funny. I mean, that's one worth seeing. I mean, it's got horror tropes, but it's also very, very funny. And there's a very awkward sort of scene in the back of a car when him is sort of having a kiss with a high school kind of late teen boy sort of thing, because of course he's supposed to be a girl, and it's very, very funny. So it's really good, and that might be one I'll have to import in 4K. Actually, I've got the Blu-ray. It's only out here in DVD, and I imported the Blu-ray from the States. But that one is well worth picking up. It's good. It is fun. I think you guys would enjoy that.
I'll try it out with the wife. Sounds like it would be a fun date night movie, I guess.
It is. It's funny.
I've never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not. It didn't set the world alight when it came out. It was one of those films that came out during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it just kind of fizzled. The director of the film was absolutely furious because he'd spent, and when you see it, you'll see how much work they've done on this. They really did try and make this something really, for crowd pleasing. And it came out in the pandemic and just died a death. And so he was not happy with Universal and not happy with with the distributors and the producers either, because he felt it had just been buried, and which is a shame because it deserves a wider audience. Everyone that's seen it thinks it's brilliant. There's very few that didn't like it. So I would recommend that. I've seen it 3 times. It's it's really good.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Hey, look, if you can see Maverick 4 billion times.
Are you comparing Freaky to Maverick?
Well, I mean, at least I watched it without motion smoothing, Deej. I'm just saying.
I watched Maverick.
It's fun.
Do you know what I've watched to date? What I've watched in its entirety with motion smoothing? Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. Not even that one. Jack Ryan was in its entirety because I did the change 10 minutes into it. So,
but that doesn't mean I can't just wind you up with it forevermore. Knock
yourself out.
That's expected.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't take much to wind me up. You want to go back into bullet points? All right. Also, from 1998, we have Belly in 4K.
Is it Belly or Bell?
No, Belly.
It's not
B-E-L-L-Y. Yeah, with Nas or NAS, DMX, Terrell Hicks, Tion T-Boz, Watkins.
Yeah, you're not selling it to me.
Yeah. A Hype Williams film. No idea. Not familiar.
Not familiar with it.
Yeah.
No.
Blank.
So
yeah.
That's coming from 1998. So, all right. It's also getting a steelbook. And Puppet Master 3. Puppet Master 3. Toulon's Revenge 4K from what's that? From 1991 from Full Moon Features. So, all right.
What I don't know if you guys have noticed this kind of earlier this year in particular seems to be a lot of catalog. Sorry, Deej, to use that title again.
No, that's good. You're right.
A lot of classic catalog releases. You've got like the Italian Job. You've got Death Wish. The Shout Factory, Kino Lorber kind of labels seem to be kind of on a real roll at the moment and putting out some really seriously classic movies that are perhaps a little bit below the line. They're not AAA movies, but movies that collectors are going to absolutely want all day long. The Italian Job is one I cannot wait for. It's out 31st of Jan
from 69.
So that'll be for next week.
Yeah, it comes out. Yeah, we'll talk about it next week.
Yeah. Not the Marky Mark one. The proper one.
Although Donald Sutherland was in both of them, wasn't he? Was he the?
I've only seen the Charlize Theron, Mark Wahlberg version once. But the Michael Caine one's great.
Oh, was it Michael Caine? Was he in the Was he in the next one too?
Yeah, he's the original. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the original, but I thought maybe it was somebody else.
Somebody was in both. Yeah,
somebody was in both. Maybe it was
it must have been.
But I don't even see Donald Sutherland listed for it. So maybe it was. Maybe Michael Caine was in.
Well, and Warner's is supposed to be putting out a lot of catalog stuff this year because of their 100th anniversary.
Yeah.
So we should see a lot of announcements on good catalog titles this year.
So Dirty Harry, we want Lethal Weapon. Deej, I know you want that. Let's the Warners.
Time for
come on,
Christmas.
Warners, open those vaults.
Yeah,
that's what we want.
We have another big one coming the following week, the 31st, along with the Italian Job from '69, a nice movie from 1989, Roadhouse.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. Yes.
Well, I'm surprised they're releasing it now because there's the remakes coming soon, isn't it? It's got Jake Gyllenhaal and what's his face? He's the MMA guy in it. You think they'd hold on to it for that and try and re-release it then? Remind people what a good film looks like.
Yeah. It's not a. Is it a sequel or a remake?
It's a remake.
They're doing a remake, yeah.
Oh,
we talked about the sequel a while back, didn't we? Did you guys watch that, by the way?
No, you talked about
Did
it.
I put you off?
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 minutes was enough of that. But yeah, no,
I think that was
hold on to it.
W.V. Brew brought it up first, though, right? Roadhouse 2?
It was Brock.
Sure.
I think it was Brock.
It was
No, it was W.V. Brew.
It was W.V. Brew. He bought it, and he said it was actually pretty. He enjoyed it as a home theater movie. I like. I mean, I love Roadhouse. I mean, you get lines. Pain doesn't hurt. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, apparently the 4K disc is very nice as well. There've been some really good reviews online, especially of the image quality. So yeah, that's another one I think I'll have to import. But yeah, it looks good, and it's such a cheesy, timeless, guilty pleasure that it's
an
well worth it
for sure.
Yeah,
I
even
think
if
the guilt's
the
worn
martial
off.
arts is nonsense.
Oh yeah. I think the guilt's worn off. It's fantastic. By now, everybody just says, yeah, you're allowed to like that. There's no guilt. It used to be like, I can't help it. It's just too much fun. I think guilty pleasure, like a Days of Thunder, I think that's still considered a guilty pleasure to me. Anyways, but
Yeah. I've only seen it a few times. I've got the 4K disc. I watched it when it came out. It was all right.
Days of Thunder?
It's not too bad. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
John and
Cold
I bonded
Trickle.
over that one.
What a name for a character. What a name.
Well, isn't Dick Trickle? He's a real driver.
He's a real driver.
That's a real driver.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And he
that's
goes
a real
by that
mascot.
name outside of the house.
Not Richard, not anything else. It's Dick Trickle.
Dick
It's like,
Trickle.
yeah.
Only in America, guys. Only in America.
Yeah. Yep.
Brilliant. Can't imagine that showing on the BBC over here.
No.
Goodness gracious me! But what that film did do, which was it made NASCAR interesting for an international audience because it doesn't travel, does it? Outside of the US, NASCAR is nothing. No, and yet that
barely
is a
travels
film that's
out of the South.
Well,
Yeah, I was
of
gonna
course,
say,
yeah.
No, it comes up
Not
here.
real big
We
on
have
it,
it up
but-
here. In Mass.
But that film kind of
Connecticut,
still made it interesting. It was still popular, and I mean, it wasn't one of Cruise's biggest hits, was it? Although there's been talk of a sequel after Maverick. There's been talk of a sequel to it. But yeah, that at least was an interesting film. Not that I can imagine anyone's really crying out for it.
I'd take it. I'd take it.
Yeah,
In a heartbeat.
yeah. Well, yeah.
In a heartbeat. Absolutely. Get all the actors back. Robert Duvall is going to be really old now, right? Is he still? Do we still have him?
I think he passed.
Didn't he?
I think. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to check right now.
I thought he
let's see who
did.
can
I
type
thought he did.
faster.
Perhaps last year. I mean, we go back to Cruise again because, of course, he was in Jack Reacher, wasn't he?
Oh, no. He's 92.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still going.
He's still
Yeah,
going.
age
wow.
I
92.
thought, yeah.
Must have
I thought he
retired.
Passed. Yeah.
Yep.
But
See? So he could be in it. There you go.
he could be in
There
it.
you go. He wasn't driving then, so he doesn't have to drive now. All right. We ready to get to our experiences, our home theater experiences of the week?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Who wants to go first?
I'm easy like the proverbial Sunday morning.
All right. Let's not have John go first. He's got two, and one
Yeah,
of
I've
them.
really only got one.
The last one, we'll save that other one for last. Little hint on what's coming last.
You guys can just go back and forth.
There you go. All right, Steve. Why don't you go first then?
Okay. All right. Well, I will go with a film that I only watched again because of you, DJ.
Nice.
And that is Sucker Punch on Blu-ray, the director's cut, more specifically.
Yeah, you got to see that one.
On Blu-ray and Neural X. Okay, so this one is one I saw when it first came out on, I think it was DVD. No, it must have been Blu-ray because it would have been 2008, 2000, something like that. And I don't know if it's that far back now that I think about it. But yeah, so I saw it when it came out on home video, whatever that would have been at the time. And I remember not liking it one bit and thinking it was exploitative and misogynistic and also nonsensical, really. And I dismissed it. And that was it. And for me, that was the end of it. And I think I'd rented it because I didn't own it and I hadn't seen it since. And as I said, just forgot all about it really until you did the show on it. You did a deep dive on it, didn't you? And you were very effusive in it. You were very clear that it was a good film and that the experience is really good. And so one evening I managed to find a copy of it online. It was a used copy. And I don't normally buy secondhand stuff, but on this case I did because you couldn't get it anywhere else. And it arrived and I watched it. And watching it again, I really, really enjoyed it. It actually had a lot, in terms of the film, much more layers to it that I had just completely missed before, completely misunderstood it, and just didn't engage with it previously, whereas on this occasion I did. And this was one of those that I watched when I had a week off, so I had time to really kind of let it wash over me. Yeah, and so I think it's actually a very intelligent movie, and it's about control, and it's about coercive behavior, and it's about grief and loss, and the life you could have led, and all these sorts of things, and it's much more detailed than I had given it credit for, and that's my fault, not the movie's fault. So that was good, but from a home theater perspective, as I said, I upmixed it to Neural X. It's DTS-HD. It's very nice indeed. Really proper heavy bass, nice bass, great envelopment. I mean, obviously with all the various dance sequences, which of course are not dance sequences at all, they're action sequences. They all lovely, just upmixed beautifully to Neural X. And are very good. So yeah, I was really pleased. The image quality, I think, is as intended. It's quite stylized, as of course everything Zack Snyder does is. And so it's quite grainy at times. There is some black crush here and there, more in the asylum than in these kind of dance dream sequences. So there is some crush in it, and it is grainy at times, but that's exactly as they intended it to be. I don't think that's a source problem or an encode problem. It's just the way the movie's supposed to look. But I really, really enjoyed it this time. And again, had I not been for you, Deej, had it not been for you, digging up this movie from, all that time ago, I would have never gone back to it and just dismissed it. So thank you to you for that, because it was a really good experience. And again, anyone else listening, watching, do yourself a favor if you can get hold of a copy. I know it's on Kaleidoscape because we discussed it afterwards. Then pick it up and get it because it's well worth seeing.
Yeah, the Kaleidoscape is actually in 4K.
Yeah, which is
and it's
very
nice. Cool. It's nice. It high contrast movie. Like you said, there's I think the HDR. I haven't seen it in a couple months. I saw that it was in 4K, so I bought it, and it actually enhances it even more because like they're using there's metaphors, all sorts of stuff through the movie, but there's also palettes. Different palettes mean different things in the movie, and then like you said, it's like the images that you're seeing are just so much more enhanced with the 4K and the HDR. The sound, like you said, is awesome. But I liken this movie to like what you and I went through back when I didn't like Invisible Man. And it's very much like the same way. And it's like, this is one of those movies that can be very much misinterpreted as being like, oh, it's very misogynistic and blah, 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 if you just take it face value. But then when you watch it and you really pay attention to it like you did, and it's like, it's actually, that's the point. It's like how awful that is, right? And then being on the other side of it, what these characters do to deal with that, right? And it's scary. It's really scary, but it's a great. I mean, what Zack Snyder did with this. Supposedly, there's a third version. Supposedly, there's a Snyder cut that I don't know if we'll ever. They talked about it when the Snyder cut came out, and they were saying like this one has an even, a bigger, more poignant story to it. With that, you got to see the extended version though, to everybody, because the original theatrical is like an hour and 9 minutes, and the extended version is like almost like 20 minutes longer. I think it's got an additional 20 minutes. More to the dance numbers, like you mentioned, that there's some stuff missing from the theatrical that even Snyder was like, it made him angry because the studios made him do it. And then the director's cut is still not his vision, but that's what you have. And it's, you get in the director's cut when it's an hour and 27 minutes, I think it was. So.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up, Deej, because I would have forgot to mention it. So I'm glad you did. Yeah, the extended cut adds context to a sequence at the end, which in the theatrical version is about. It appears to be about just utter submission that a particular character completely submits to another character, and the character that in the theatrical version submits. I'm trying to do spoiler free.
Right.
That is, the character submits is the main character, and then completely removes any agency that she may have had, and actually does the character a huge disservice. And apparently there was a big brouhaha with the MPAA about it, so they stripped it back for ratings reasons. But in the director's cut, if we call it that, extended edition, extended version, that has been put back as it should be. I think it's not quite complete, but it's much more complete, if that makes sense. It's more detailed than the theatrical one, and so now the real purpose of that scene becomes clearer, and it does reduce the potential misogyny that is pushed that way because of the theatrical cuts. So I agree 100%. It's extended version or it's nothing. This is another one of those movies I put up there with Aliens and T2 and Kingdom of Heaven and Prince of Thieves and The Abyss, movies that really sensibly, or Tombstone, if anyone's listening, should only.
What movie was that? Just to be clear,
Tomb something. Val Kilmer was in it. I don't know.
Let's see if John can say it so everybody can hear it out of John's lips.
Tombstone.
All right, there we go.
Silence, everybody. Silence, everybody.
Silence.
And so, like, this is a movie that you should forget it's got a theatrical version and only see the extended one, because otherwise you're just not getting what you should get from it.
And theater-wise, it's actually it rocks. I mean,
it does.
I mean, it's absolutely. I mean, I had a blast with it when I was reviewing it, and then you know, ever since then, it's like, I can't even think of like one scene that I would be like, all right, that's the one. I mean, because from beginning to end, and the way it moves into the different scenes, sometimes you don't even know when they're coming. You're like, oh, here we go. But the opening scene grabs you right away. The opening of the movie, and have you ever seen it?
It's a tough watch.
Years ago, and I really felt very similar to Steve. Like, I didn't really like it, so I don't know. I haven't gone back to it and watched it again. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Yeah,
it's tough. It happened. I mean, I read after I did it a while ago,
and I don't even know if I saw the theatrical. Like, I don't even know what I saw. You know, honestly. So,
but a lot of people, it just gets misinterpreted, I should say.
Then, I mean, understandably so.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you
look, you're going in for fun. Nope.
Well, if you look at the image on the posters, you look at how the characters are dressed. I mean, they're dressed in a way that suggests one thing, but is actually talking about something else.
Right.
You know, the main character, you know, dressed in a schoolgirl's outfit. You know, that suggests, doesn't it, a sort of a one particular kind of movie, but actually you realize that is not what this is about at all, and it's about empowerment. It's not about you know, of the female characters. It's their, again, sorry to use the word agency, but it's them taking control and breaking free from the coercive and controlling behavior and the control that the male characters have exerted on them. And so when you see it in that context, it makes sense. Otherwise, you just see it as again, it's misogynistic. It's there, and it leaves a bit of a grubby taste. But that's not what it's about. So yeah, it'd be worth seeing again, John. But it's on Netflix. But I think it's just a theatrical. I don't think it's the director's cut. I don't know. Do you know, Deej? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was on Netflix, but I'm pretty sure it's a theatrical. I don't remember seeing the extended one. But this was the Blu-ray, which appears to be out of print now. It's not easily available. So there we go. Put it to the top of your Kaleidescape list, as and when.
Yeah, exactly.
if and when I get
if
there.
and when, yeah.
Some comments in the chat. We have Vibe Install says, "What's up, nerds? Listening in the SUV. Watched Puss in Boots last." Listening in the SUV. Watched Puss in Boots last and agree with the governor. It was awesome. All the best to you all. Calling you governor. And Greg, the awesome ninja, he says, similarly misunderstood is Blazing Saddles. Another movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Classic.
See, I love
Is that misunderstood? Is it misunderstood?
Yeah. Just because of a lot of the stuff that goes on in that movie.
Well, that's just a product of its time. More than being misunderstood.
It's an absolute stone cold classic, surely. Is that misunderstood? Is it really? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Maybe Greg, the awesome ninja, will elaborate. Greg.
Hey, I'm not upsetting a ninja.
I just think it's a movie that wouldn't be made today. But I don't think it's misunderstood.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's regarded, isn't it, as being a classic movie. I mean,
of
it's one
course.
of Mel Brooks's best. So yeah. Whereas Sucker Punch, I think, is still maligned. I think people still. Say, I think, John, you know, you say to someone Sucker Punch, most people would say what John said, and what I initially thought was, one, it wasn't very good, and two, it was a bit grubby and a bit unpleasant.
Right.
But, you know, those that have reevaluated it since, actually, I think, you know, would see that perhaps it's better than that, as it were. But yeah. But Puss in Boots, guys, I mean, it is good. Did you succumb, Deej? Did you spend your $40?
I didn't get a chance. I almost did. I was going to. I wasn't going to buy it, and then I have it sit there. Yeah. I was. Yeah, I'm very close to getting it. I wanted to, but I ended up. I actually asked my wife about it, and like I said, we're going to talk about How to Train Your Dragon too. So we ended up watching that one, but almost very, very close. That's what I meant to text you. Do I need to have seen the other Puss in Boots to understand Puss in Boots?
No. I mean, well,
The Last Wish.
There is one relation. Yeah, there's one relationship that he has with a character from a previous film, but it doesn't matter. You'd soon pick it up in seconds that they are, you know, previous. They were in a relationship. You're not going to need to worry about that. You know, it's not a terribly layered plot. And yet it's
you never
very,
know. I'm
very
not
clever.
very bright, so one layer and I'm done.
But what it is a clever plot. That's what it is. It's very cleverly done. You will be chuckling away from 2 minutes in. It's very, very funny.
Nice.
And you've seen the things like the good, the bad, and the ugly. You've seen a fistful of dollars, all that stuff, and a few dollars more. And it's all of that mixed in with fairy tales and everything else. Honestly, it's great. And as I said, as I know I said last week, with your animation journey that you're on at the moment,
I'm on, yeah.
It's great. But I don't know if it's $40 worth. But it's you could probably wait. But if it's a just universe, it will be a shoo-in for best Oscar for best animated feature. I've seen all of the ones that are nominated, that are available, and for me, it's head and shoulders the best animated film of the year, of last year, this year. If it's very, very cleverly done.
Cool. Well, now, jeez.
Have I done it again?
Now he's buying it.
It's another an Oscar
$40.
winner. I mean, come on.
It should be. It should be. I hope it will. I genuinely hope it will, because they've done something special with this. So I really do hope that they reward it.
All right. I'll do my next one. Let's see. My first one. Let's wrap up with Jack Ryan, Season 3, Episode 8. I thought the series as a whole, story-wise, was great. Another great... You guys, did you finish it, Steve? I know John did.
No, I've finished the third episode, and then life has got in the way.
Okay.
No, I haven't. I'm going to go back to it, though. I was enjoying it. It was really good. Yeah.
Looking forward to the disc. I'm hoping it comes out fairly soon on disc. They're usually pretty good. Well, recently they've been pretty good about that stuff, so I'm hoping we can get that on disc, because I'd love to revisit it, especially with everything I went through with the image quality and stuff, and see if we can improve on that. But getting to the image quality, getting to the home theater experience, Episode 8 was fantastic for a home theater experience, but it also, talking about that tweak that I did earlier, it couldn't have come at a better time, and it was kind of like what made me, Jonathan's comment, and then there's a scene there where I believe it's a sub. They're in a sub. The scene is in a submarine battle station. So you go to the light, all red lights or blue lights, I think it was. John might remember, but it was like, it's a dark, dark scene, right? And with highlights.
Weeks ago.
it was just washed out. I was just like, my black levels weren't very good. I was like, his face, I think it was blue. I think the lights were blue. And they hadn't gone to battle mode yet, or whatever it is, right? And it's just like, he looked like a Smurf. It didn't look right. It didn't look like a normal human being with blue lights around him. It looked like, okay, it's just all washy. He just looked like he had blue skin. It was bad. So that's kind of where I'm like, well, all right, I gotta do something about this. So I messed around with the settings, like I said, upped the contrast, bumped some stuff up here and there, and then when I backed out of that scene, went through it again, and I'm like, ooh, it looked really nice. It upped the contrast. I mean, like I said, everything looked better. He looked like, a normal person with blue lights over him, because now the background was you had more depth in the depth of field, everything like that. So it improved everything going forward. Haven't needed to use that setting on anything since then, and I've tried it on almost everything I've watched. And I'm like, oh no, that doesn't look good. Too dark. But on stuff like that, probably I should go back. I didn't test it on Mandalorian Season 1, but they would probably look pretty good on that. But yeah, lesson learned. Don't be afraid to mess with your settings on streaming. On physical, I wouldn't mess with it. It's, that is what it is. If you get a bad image, then it's probably the disc. But yeah, so Jack Ryan, really good. Episode 8, really, really good. Great home theater experience. And hopefully I solve my streaming issues for the time being. So, all right. What do you got next? Ooh, what do you got next, Steve? I know.
Okay, so this is another one of my cheat ones, because this comes back to before Christmas that I saw this and I took it out of my list. So Pulp Fiction. I'll do this relatively quickly because there's a couple of things I really wanted to say about it. And when I was listening to you guys talk about it, you and Ralph and oh goodness, I can't remember who else it was. Jeff, yes. Yep. And you guys were talking about this, and I was sort of, shouting at the radio in a good way, not in a bad way. So Pulp Fiction, very quickly then in terms of its image quality. I mean, the image quality is gorgeous. I mean, this is just how it's how I wish I'd always been able to see it. I mean, it looked fantastic. And this is another one of those. I did it as a double bill on a day off. I watched Reservoir Dogs in the morning in 4K, and then I did this in the afternoon, and forgotten just how long Pulp Fiction is, by the way. I'd forgotten it's 2.5 hours long. I just always thought it's an hour 45, but there's a lot of story, isn't there, to get in. So it's very, very nice. It sounds great. Again, I was listening for the thing with the intercom. And by the way, I think you were right, by the way, Deej, in that, because of course I think the guys were saying to you that it's an intercom, so it should have come from in front of him, not over the speakers. But I think it's very clear that there are supposed to be speakers around the room. Yeah, that's and that it should come.
I
from,
couldn't
from
remember
the ceiling,
when we were talking,
like a
but whatever it was, it didn't match. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. I thought it would have been nice if they had matched it up, but it still sounds great.
Absolutely.
But
it all sounds good. I mean, you hear things I hadn't heard before. The sound stage is beautiful and wide. Yeah. It's great.
Jackrabbit Slims, it's a standout scene. It's just I mean, there's so much to take in there in the background now. You can see so much more. The detail. I don't know if you could see more. I've done this in the past where you throw the disc in and the older, the Blu-ray, and you're like, oh yeah, it's there. I see it. It looks pretty good too. It's just that when you get that new upgraded version, things pop differently, right? And it makes you take notice of it.
I've got two examples of exactly that, which is really what I wanted to talk about, because it does look great. And as I said, the HDR is lovely. The detail on it's great. But I noticed two things on this film that I hadn't seen before that are more obvious now in the 4K than before. So the first one then is with the famous, scene with Marvin, in the thing with where he say what again, mother, mother farmer, all that stuff.
The opening scene part.
Now before that, whilst that's going on, Jules walks over and he shoots the guy on the couch.
You didn't know that?
No, I know that. I know that. What I didn't notice until this is he does not pull the trigger. There is nothing there other than him slightly jerking the gun. There's no casing coming out of the gun. He just jerks the gun like that, and there is a gun sound shot that comes from it. And I've never noticed that before, and it is blatant. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, you can't unsee
Literally,
it.
Samuel L. Jackson just does this, just goes, and that's it. And then there's a gun sound. He doesn't pull the trigger.
It's a good gun sound, too.
Yeah, there's no casing. It is literally someone pointing, and I think, and the reason I think that is because, of course, when they use blanks, there is still a cartridge, isn't there? And as we know from what happened to poor old Brandon Lee, there is, not the Alec Baldwin thing, because that was a live round, but with Brandon Lee, of course, with a blank, sometimes there is still wadding in the cartridge. So when they pull the trigger, sometimes that can still come out of the gun. So when you see blanks fired, very often, it's very rare that you would see that in camera close up, because what they tend to do is they have perspex glass in the way, so when they shoot at the camera, no one gets hurt behind the camera. So in this instance, he is very, very close to the guy that's on the couch, and so I don't think they could have safely done a blank fire. And so, but I kid you not, watch it again, certainly the 4K. Awesome. He literally just does that, and you get a gun soundtrack. So that was the first thing. And once I'd seen it, I couldn't not see it. I watched it about 12 times just to see that I didn't get it wrong.
I'm about to put the show on hold.
Go and have. But it really does. I've never noticed that before, and I've seen the film loads of times.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's just the extra clarity that it comes with. The other
That's how powerful sound is, though. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It fools you into thinking you've seen a gun fired, but you watch it again, you'll see it doesn't quite match. So that's the one. And then the other one is anywhere near as clever or revealing as that, but just a little something. In Jackrabbit Slims, I've always assumed wrongly, as it turns out, that John Travolta's wearing a black suit.
Yeah.
I just assumed he had a black trousers, black jacket, and it was a suit. He's wearing jeans.
Yeah.
He's actually wearing jeans, and I've never noticed that
Isn't that
before.
cool?
And you can see it clear. Yeah. Now, I mean, who cares really? But the 4K brings out that
HDR,
color gradation
the
and
color,
the detail
yeah.
in the black.
Oh.
You can see that he's actually got jeans on, which is
More
very,
casual of a,
I always
Yeah.
thought it was a black suit as well.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, but he's actually wearing jeans. He's got dark colored jeans on, and as I said, in the 4K edition, you can see that that's what he's wearing. And it as you say, it does. It's more casual. It's a different sort of thing. But anyway, that's another thing I saw. But it's a great 4K disc. Everybody should own this.
Yeah.
This is one of those must-own discs. There's not a lot more to be said. I agree with everything you said about it, Deej, in previously. It's fantastic, and is the last word in this movie until they do the 8K version.
I don't know.
No,
what
I don't
could
know.
you do? I don't know. Like we're getting to the point of perception. We're getting past the point of our perception with all of this stuff with HD. I mean, can you get more dynamic? Tone like. HDR, can you get? I don't know. It's like, I mean, we have the displays that can go to, total black. So we got, we're getting to, 10,000 nits, which you don't even need. And I love hearing the description of people. Well, what do you need it that bright for? You'd be getting a sunburn or whatever. I'm like, no, it doesn't mean the whole screen has to do that. It just means the gradation. You're gonna have that one little pixel in the middle could be 10,000, but the gradation off of it is going to be spectacular. But yeah, it's it's such a. The movie itself is, I mean, just the pacing of the movie. It was. To me, it was revolutionary. The way you had no idea what was going on, and then by the end, you're like, "This was the beginning, this is the end." So you have that, but then the dynamics of the picture. It was bright. It was literally like like Pulp Fiction. It was just everything about it, and then the soundtrack as well. It's only 5:1, which is textbook Quentin Tarantino, but it's fantastic. It's so. I guess like we were talking about with Ralph and Jeff, it's the same track that it was before. But like anything else, I've said this before, my wife has experienced it. When you up one, the perception of the other gets raised as well. Rising tides raises all boats, right? So like if you have that much better of a picture, all of a sudden you're looking and going, this sounds better. It's the same track. Oh, that doesn't matter. It just sounds better.
Although I suppose, did you upmix it or did you watch it in 5.1?
No, I upmixed it. I actually have one coming up that I actually didn't downmix, but I didn't upmix for that reason that we'll talk about. But yeah. So yeah, it's I upmixed this one, and it was really really good. So.
It's a must-own disc. I mean, again, anyone out there that doesn't have it, and if you like the movie, I know I say this a lot, but if you do like the film, this one is the version to buy. There really is. There's no excuse. If you like it, get it. It's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. I've been itching to say that stuff about it for ages.
Son of a Preacher Man. This is something I hadn't said before. That Son of a Preacher Man's my favorite track on that entire. I've owned the soundtrack and everything. That was my favorite track from that. And for some reason in this version, it sounded so much. It sounds like you're in that room. Right? So it doesn't sound, they're not just playing it. It sounds like it's coming from those speakers in that room. It sounds really, really good.
It does.
Yeah. Love it. Great movie. So happy you brought it. I know, when it was on your list before, I was like, oh, we're not going to get to talk about that, but we just did. So, all right, let's get to my next one here. And this one here is Kaleidoscope. Buckle up, boys. Has anybody started it? Have you seen it? Any of it? I can't recommend it enough. This was like, I could not wait. I give myself an episode a day, and I was like, I couldn't wait for the next day to be able to see the next episode. And when you guys, I'd only seen Yellow, the first one. It was for me, okay? And then John had told me about that it's in a different order.
Colors, yeah.
Yeah. So apparently, I read up on it, and I found out the actual chronological order, which I can give you if you want it. But I have my order, which is out of order of chronological, and I was gonna buck the trend and actually watch it in chronological, but I'm like, no, let's do this the way they want you to experience it. So I did, and it's fantastic. And when I say it's fantastic, now we're talking story wise. We'll get to the home theater part in a second, but story wise, it's like you'd think that, like, all right, well, it's going to be ruined for me, and you can read through, whenever you go on to Netflix, you can go through and see all the chapters, right? And then there's a little blurb on what's going to happen, so you could spoil it for yourself. And I've done that, and I'm like, but it's about a bank heist. And I'm reading through, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I know which episode is going to be the bank heist, and I know which episode is the end, and which is because of the chronological order. Well, I got the bank heist last, but I got the ending, I got the ending second to last. So when I got the final episode chronologically, I was like, what's left? I'm like, it's ruined. But it's not. And what that did for me, it made me realize and go back through and watch the endings and think about each episode. Every episode answers a question, but leaves you hanging. Okay? And it isn't until the final episode that you go. Now, it could be your final episode. It could be whatever you end on, you're going to have all of the answers. But even when you get to your final episode, you'll be like, I see why they did that. And it's like, I knew the ending. I knew chronologically, I knew what happened to every single character. And I was like, I don't even need to see the heist now. What's the point? And then there was one thing I was like, oh yeah, what happened here? And then you watch it, and I told my wife what was going to happen. I figured it out. And she said to me, she goes, I hope for your sake that there's a twist on it, just so that you're wrong. And she was right. And I was like, oh my God, it was fantastic. So by the end of it, you realize, like, every episode is giving you information, but it's also leaving you with enough that they could end this they can put this in any order, and it's not spoiling it's spoiling everything, but not everything, it's hard to describe. You got to experience it. And
what's it on, Deej?
Netflix.
Okay. Is it 4K?
Yes. This was the one that I was like, oh, I only had an HD, Ultra HD, but yes, I have it in 4K. Okay. The white episode, the white episode is fantastic. Think hurricane heist. There's a hurricane going on at the time. Lots of great bass in this one. Great bass from, like, thunder. There's great bass. There's bass in the score. It's fantastic. But then there's this scene, and this gets back to my roots of the podcast. At 19 minutes and 30 seconds of the white episode, there's rain. The scene is indoors, but the rain is hitting the ceiling, but not like rain pouring on the ceiling, almost like there's a ceiling above it and the rain's leaking through that ceiling, and it's going tick, 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 and it makes it like, it sounds like in your room, like your ceiling's leaking. Something's going on up there. It's very subtle, to the point that if you're not near reference level, or you might miss it, you might not hear it, but it's really, really good. Orange episode at 22:20 has actually, let me tell you about the blue episode first. Blue episode at 18 minutes has the like this audio effect going on across the front stage, bouncing back and forth, but it was so weird. I'm like, is there something wrong with my speakers? It's a weird sound. It sounds like somebody's tapping on my screen, like you got to hear it, but it bounces back and forth. The score bounces back and forth. It's kind of weird, and it wasn't until let me look at my order. What I get: blue was the third episode I watched, then orange is fourth. So what it finally, I finally figured it out. Here we are, 4 episodes in. It's that what they're doing is they're duplicating the noise of when you turn a kaleidoscope, when you're looking at it.
Okay.
They do it at the beginning, but then it's also in the score too. And now it's moving across your front stage. And in Orange, episode Orange at 22:20, they do the kind of the same thing, but it's more like you're not sure at first. You're like, okay, it's kind of sounds like that, but it's actually like finger snapping, but back and forth on the. There's tons of that through this entire series. The picture, like I said last week, there's some scenes, like at the time I had only seen yellow, and they were going back and forth between the garage and then the high-tech, building that has the safes and everything in it. So you get that contrast, but then as the series goes on, you get more of that. But like I said, the image in white is very, very good. Lots of deep blacks, lots of brights, lots of very high contrast, but tons and tons of detail. There's one thing that I don't want to spoil it for you, but do not miss out when you're watching it. You're going to see some close-ups when you get to the heist episode. You'll take a look at they go in to rob this place, but they're wearing the same uniforms and they have the logo on their chest. Look at what they did to the logo. And I don't know. I'm going to what should I give away? Sweatshirt? I'm going to give a sweatshirt to the first person that tells me how they change the logo on their left chest when they do the heist. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I love it. And when you guys see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's really good. Love this series, and supposedly it's different for everybody. I mean, there's only so many combinations, right, to the watch order, but whatever you pull up on your Netflix is probably going to be different than mine.
Okay, well,
there's from what I read, that Netflix uses your algorithm to what you like to watch to put this in the order. And I'm telling you, they nailed it for me, because when I got to the end of what was my final episode, which is not the end, I was like, that was the perfect way to end it. They did it perfectly for me. So I'll be interested to see what other people think. So. But it's a great home theater experience as well. So, all right. Yeah, there's lots of places you can look it up. The watch order and stuff like that. I have a link to it. I'll try to remember to add into the show notes, but it's but I have my order. I'll tell you what my order was. It's not a spoiler. I went yellow, green, blue, orange, violet, red, pink, and white. So, and that's not in the order. I know what, just looking right now, I know which one's the final one, but I don't even remember which one was the first one, chronologically, which one was the first one and stuff. So,
yeah, I've just searched for it. Mine starts, it's black, yellow, green, blue, orange, violet, red, pink, white.
Oh, that's the same as me.
Come up on mine.
Yeah, black is just the trailer. Black is just the introduction.
It's a minute long. That would be a short first episode,
right.
wouldn't
So
it?
you're in the same one. You got the same one as me. So maybe it doesn't go different for everybody. I was told that everybody got a different algorithm. Either that or you and I are exactly the same.
That's it. See, that's what it's got to be.
So, yeah. All right. What do we have next? You want to go with your next one, Steve?
Yep. Okay, so the next one then is Strange Days on Blu-ray. Again, up next to Neural X. It's becoming a bit like a catchphrase. Okay, so I had not seen this film. I'd heard of it, but hadn't seen it until last week when you guys, it had surfaced on Twitter. Someone on Twitter had mentioned it.
Me.
And said, and you were then yeah, but I don't know if you were responding to someone else that had mentioned it, or whether you came out with it because of the Laserdisc or something, wasn't it?
I brought it up because somebody was talking about movies in 4K, and I think I mentioned that one because of all of that stuff.
Okay, so we were talking about it last week, and whilst you were telling me about it, I ordered it on Amazon because it is out in Blu-ray over here, and so it came the next day. and I watched it late last week, I think it was. Actually, no, it might have been Sunday. Sunday, yeah. Okay, so I hadn't seen it. So, firstly, the movie. You guys, of course, if you've seen it, have you seen it, John?
I
Presumably
have
you have.
not. No,
Okay,
I haven't seen it.
all right. Well, I'll go carefully through it then, because it is one that is definitely recommended. And I think you said it's just not out on Blu-ray over there. Is that right? It's just DVD for the time being.
Yeah, it's not out on Blu-ray, but you can order it. I ordered mine on Amazon, just regular American Amazon. They have it and they'll ship it over, but it's not the right region. So because of Zapedi, I can just upload it and it'll play through that.
Oh, fab. Okay.
But the disc won't play. But it is on HBOMax, and I'll be able to. I watched it as well this week on HBOMax. I believe it was Dan watched it because I had a conversation on Twitter. Somebody else, it was either Dan or Mark, I can't remember, had also watched it on HBO and said, really good movie. I can't wait to see what the disc looks like. But I thought on HBO Max, I watched it at a plus 3 dB, and it was you get the vibe. But yeah, I'll tell you my side of it, and you go first.
Yeah, well. Firstly, so from a movie perspective, I thought it was really, really interesting. Even if I hadn't known that it was written by James Cameron, I probably could have guessed that it was written by James Cameron, and obviously directed by his now ex-wife, Catherine Bigelow.
She was the ex-wife at the time of the movie too, I believe.
Was she?
They had already been divorced. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
I'm
That must
pretty
have been
sure,
made for some awkward shooting days.
I think they're still
but yeah.
friendly. I think they still work.
Yeah. But yeah, really interesting story, and actually got some interesting kind of ramifications with things that have gone on today, and and are happening
That's what it was based
today.
on too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think pretty much this idea of being able to share every detail of your life with someone else at any given time or day is basically social media, isn't it? Without having to have a little creature on your head. It's
Squid.
Basically squid. There you go. It's essentially, I think, social media without the thing on your head. But I thought it was fascinating, and it was really, really interesting and a very intriguing movie. And all I could see though is Ralph Fiennes in it. All I could see is a remake with Bradley Cooper, because he looks just like him. And as I was watching it, I was thinking, there is a remake with Bradley Cooper coming. There's got to be, because wow, he looks just like him. Anyway, so really interesting film and really enjoyable, but that paled into insignificance compared to the home theater experience. So
Did you
get ready for
upmix
this stage.
one?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Get ready for the stage.
yeah. Well, because you're gonna be salivating at the end of this, and just absolutely dying to get your hands on the disc. So the image quality is of its time. There's no getting away from that. It reminded me a lot of The Last Boy Scout for some strange reason. I think it's just because of the sort of the dark lot of well, that too, but I think just the way it was shot, the cinematography looked a bit like The Last Boy Scout. I don't quite know why, but it did, and it is of the 90s. The 1080p does have its issues. I mean, it's not 4K quality. It would look lovely in 4K. I'd agree with you, but it's good. It's decent, and the detail levels are okay. I put some pictures up on Twitter if anyone's interested and they want to go and have a look. I did put some pictures up on there.
No spoilers.
And some screen grabs. Yeah, well, yeah. Patrick Stewart is not in this film. Sorry, guys, just so you know. All right. So sooner or later, we're going to have to explain that for the listeners, because we've got so far beyond it.
We'll do it once a year.
Yeah. So and I know John knows. So
I know.
So the image quality's got its issues, but I put some pictures up, and some of it's nice and sharp and looks okay. But the audio is what I really want to talk about. Now, this is something that you flagged up to me as being this is something different. And I hadn't fully appreciated how different it was until I got it. And from minute one, it begins with one of these memory sequences, shall we call them? And
they open that way.
Instantly, you are surrounded with sound in the best way. And as you rightly said, you've got voices from behind you coming from right behind, moving around the room. Every time the camera spins, the audio goes with it. And it happens again and again and again. And you can pinpoint when they come out of these memory sequences, it's like the soundscape goes from behind you right to the front of the screen, and then it's a bit more front-centered, and then when they go back into it, it goes right around you again, and you can feel sonically the soundscape kind of move open and come out. And the standout sequence for me, forgive me, I haven't got a timestamp because I was trying to enjoy it, not stop-start as much as I was taking photos. Is the sequence probably about 3/4 of the way through. There's a chase sequence going across train tracks and stuff where a female character is being chased, and that was a demo sequence. I mean, much of the movie's demo worthy, but this was the demo of the demo. It just was fantastic, and I played it through twice. I stopped it, went back and played it again because I just need to hear this. And am I really hearing all this? And sure enough, yep, absolutely, it is brilliant. And really good. And it's only afterwards I realized that they had to invent camera rigs for this film. There's none of the dream memory sequences, none of those sequences use any production audio at all. The whole thing is ADR'd. And of course it would have to be, bearing in mind how they've done this, but it's really clever. So you can match with a really good film, a thought-provoking, interesting movie, a top-notch audio experience, even now, all these years later. I mean, what they do with an Atmos mix on this, I mean, you know, we could only dream of that.
Yeah,
but it's very good.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Like the Atmos on this, that you have to do it right. You can't this has to be mapped accordingly, you know, because this movie is it's just so enveloping. Right. And it's like, exactly. So what I did is I listened to probably a third of the movie upmixed. And then I was like, let me try. I went back to 5.1. And then I actually went back to that opening scene, did it again. And the upmixing is really nice. But what it does is it takes those voices and it makes it more full around you. Where if you just go to a 5.1, it gives you more of that bass, just your bass layer is playing it. So I felt that you got more separation and more spinning of the voices going around. But that might also be because that's what I'm used to. I've seen this movie so many times, and this was this movie for me. Okay, I bring this up very often. I don't know how often, but this is one of those movies that I had on Laserdisc, and this to me was the game changer in the 90s. Okay, so like if you watched, like you bring somebody into your theater, and at the time my theater was my living room. It was a living room theater, but like John's, it was everything that you could have in my theater, right? So, but I had a Laserdisc player. And I played Pulp Fiction on Laserdisc, and it looked nice. We're looking at a 32-inch television, but it was like, okay, yeah, it looks nice. Play Terminator 2, right? Looks good. Sounds good. A little bit better separation across the front channel. Your pans were nice. Those were good. But a lot of that stuff you could almost duplicate on VHS, right? Like you could still, on VHS, a hi-fi VHS, you could still get a good pan across the front of your screen. You can get a pan to front to rear a little bit, right? A lot of the stuff you could do on VHS. And on Laserdisc, it was just cleaner. It was nicer. It just, that was it. But Strange Days, what they did with the sound in this, you can't duplicate on VHS. Because you need that discrete, okay? And that was Dolby AC3 was the track on a Laserdisc, and you could get that discrete 5.1 surround sound, so those voices would go all around you. So like you said, that opening scene, you put that Laserdisc in, and 5 minutes in, people are going, what the hell is going on? Because like and the way they come in and like the voice, all of that was happening in the 90s. I mean, I'm so excited that you're impressed with it now. Imagine what this was like in the 90s. You know, you went from VHS to this sound. And I watched it, like I said, I watched it on HBO Max. I highly recommend it. It sounds really, really good. It's not as dynamic as it could be. I'm very much looking forward to getting that disc in. Mine's not due in until the end of the month. But I can't wait to experience that. Hopefully it's all I think it will be. But the HBO Max, it's there. It sounds really good. Upmix it, don't upmix it. It's going to be fantastic. There's a scene now. This is streaming on 1080p streaming on HBO Max. But at 57 minutes, you know the scene, but a character goes down and you see her eyes, and I say down, but they open her eyes and you see the blacks of her eyes, and they kind of zoom in on it, and you see her reflection in the blacks of those eyes. But look at the deepest black on the entire screen is her eyes. Everything else appears a little bit washed out compared to that deep black of her eyes, and it's very poignant to the scene. But it's fantastic. And the entire movie, story-wise too, is, I don't want to spoil anything about it, but it was based on an event that happened back in the 90s. And by the time you get to the end of the movie, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you finish the movie, you're like, I'll fill you in. But it's fantastic. Fantastic movie. And a lot like Sucker Punch. It's, labor of love type thing. Catherine Bigelow. It's very, very means a lot to them. It's a great movie. Little misunderstood in its time, but absolutely, definitely a must home theater watch. If we ever got this in 4K with Atmos, this would be great. So,
but get excited about the upmixed disc. It's still very nice indeed. I do recommend it. And John, give it a watch. I'd be curious to see what you make of it.
HBO Max, yeah.
I'll have to, 'cause I can't import it. I won't be able to watch it.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So
it's definitely worth digging out and watching. And say if you can see it on HBO Max, then it is worth seeing. I'm amazed it passed me by. This is again another reason why this is so cool, because we can get together and swap movies that like The Grey for You, and that for me, I'd never I'd heard of it barely, but certainly would never have dreamed of watching it. Because it's just one of those that passed me by. So if you guys hadn't said it, I would have missed it. And now I've got another disc to demo to people and show them.
John and I have Freaky.
Look at what it does. Yeah, well, there you go. Well, you guys have got Wind River. You've got Old
we've
Henry.
got a bunch.
You've
we got a list.
Operation Mincemeat. You've got.
I know. It's like John and I have never seen a movie before.
I know, and I've got a whole list of them. I just added that one to my list as well.
Yeah.
So whenever I get done with Game of Thrones, I guess I'll be.
Well, it looks like we might not have another Jeremy Renner movie for a little while, for understandable reasons. So, you'll have plenty of time to see Wind River. Although it'll be even more poignant now after that. I'm just glad he hasn't lost his leg. There was some suggestion that he might have lost it, but but no, he's okay. So, and he's home, so that's good news. So if you're watching, Jeremy, get well soon.
Wow, is he banged up if he's watching this? All right.
Okay. So
all right.
Right. Next.
John, why don't you give us your Game of Thrones update?
Oh yeah. Well,
Where
Game
are
of Thrones. Halfway through season 7 right now.
Oh.
The only thing I'll say that I haven't already said is it's just amazing how much I forgot about the show. No spoilers, but I mean, everybody's seen it. Like, I didn't know the Hound came back after he died. Like, I forgot he was in the rest of the show.
Right.
You know what I mean? I thought he was dead. I was like, oh, there's the Hound. And I did mention that, like, last week I was into, like, season, I don't even know where I was, but I kind of made mention that, like, season 3 and 4 was, like, the peak Game of Thrones. And that's really not the case. Like, it's peak all the way through. Like, I forget how good this show really was. And I was a big critic of the ending, just like everybody else, and I haven't got to watch season 8 again yet. But knowing how it ends and now watching the build up to a lot of it again, it makes some sense. Like I'll never believe that they shouldn't have spread it out, and like it will always feel rushed to me the way they ended the show. But you can see the groundwork that they laid for a lot of what happens at the end of it. I just wish that they would have given it. HBO really buckled and did a disservice to not giving it 10 episodes in the last 2 seasons like they did in the first 6 seasons. Because to me, it wasn't so much the way it ended; it was just how abruptly it felt like it ended. But all that being said, still, I just continue to be blown away that a show that's 10 years old or more now still can look so good on 4K. It sounds fantastic. It's really unbelievable what they did with this show and what a hit they had on their hands. And that's why it kills me that they buckled to these 2 showrunners and didn't give it what it needed, to finish.
Do you think that the ending was maybe hampered, like the opinions of the ending were maybe hampered by how much time had elapsed between 7 and 8? Wasn't it like 2 years or longer?
In what when we got to watch it or in Showtime?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so.
Because what I'm thinking is like everything you're saying is like there's a lot of buildup. Like it's almost like they did plan it this way, and I think when the majority of Game of Thrones fans watched season 8, I think it had been like almost 3 years since season 7.
Well, I was
it had been
saying,
a long time.
The only reason why I'm going to disagree with you here is because I'm watching season 7 now, and it's like copyright 2017 at the end of that. And like it was 2018 or so when we saw the last season.
I don't
like. I can tell. Well, I can tell you. I mean, I don't know.
It was not 2018. We started podcasting in 2018, and it hadn't come up, and I had never seen it.
So season 7 aired. Oh, I'm sorry, 2017. I guess that's when they copyrighted the disc. Season 7 happened in 2011. Season 8 aired. That can't be right. That just can't be right.
No.
That's wrong.
Original release was 2011.
And then
it ended
I'm
in
sorry.
2019.
Season 7 was 2017. Ended in August of 2017.
Yep.
Season 8 picked up in April of 2019. So you were about
2
a year
years.
and a half.
Yeah.
A year and a half.
Almost 2 years,
7 months or so. But that's average, right? Like that's what we get with every show.
Yeah.
We get a year plus between every season. I just feel like, they gave it 6 episodes for season 8 and it just really felt like they rushed through the end of it. You know what I mean? Now, a lot of the criticisms that people had, I feel like they just weren't paying attention. Because I remember when it aired and people were very critical of Daenerys and the way, again, spoilers for a show that everybody has already seen. But, the way she just torched King's Landing and, she's the heroine or whatever. You really weren't watching if you thought that was a surprise. Because she torched everything all the way through from start to finish. And every time she opened her mouth, her plan was to get on her dragon and torch King's Landing. And it was somebody else that talked her out of doing that. So, that's not really a surprise. But there was other things that happened, again, that I felt like, I was very critical of back in 2019. I'll be interested to see if I feel differently.
That's what I mean.
Watching it here. And I'm about to get there. I've got 3 episodes or so, maybe 4 episodes left in season 7, and then I'm going to be into season 8. And I'm interested to see how I feel about it myself, because I was very critical of it when it happened as well.
But that's why I mentioned the timeline, between episodes, because, like you said, people, they weren't watching or they had forgotten. Whereas I wasn't critical at all, but that's not uncommon.
Because when you watched it, you did it sort of like I do. Like you watched it from start to finish, right?
I watched seasons 1 through 7. Jen and I binge watched, and we finished like 3 months
Right before
before
it
season
aired.
8.
Yeah.
So we
Right,
were
so you
very
had no
fresh. So
time.
so there was no, we were very fresh on everything, and we couldn't wait. And then like you said, you're hearing like, what are you talking about? That's what she's been doing, or this is what's been
Right.
going on. And no, they just said it right here. And I remember thinking that, and that it's funny you say what you're saying, and it's like, that's why I'm saying, I'm like, maybe people had forgotten, not that they weren't watching, like you said, but it's like they just forgotten, because we take in so much stuff, right? It's like when The Witcher comes back on, I'm like, all right, what happened? Who's who?
Yeah.
And it takes an episode or two for you to catch back up. And where Game of Thrones is so in depth, right? There's so much going on. There's so many people. It takes you almost 2 seasons to figure out who people are. And then season 3, you're like, oh, crap, new characters. You know, I got to learn these people now. And it's just, you know, but it's such, like you said, it's such a great series. It, you know.
And again, just start to finish, every episode, it seems like there's something to see or hear, you know, with the 4K discs. It's just really
that you've
it's
never
been a
heard
great
or seen
experience.
before.
Yeah,
It's so good.
right. Again, because I watched this on HBO. So it wasn't 4K, it wasn't HDR, it wasn't Atmos, it wasn't anything. You know, it was just, a lot of times I watch these in my bedroom TV, you know, with
for
TV
the story.
speakers.
Right.
Yeah, you know. And so, yeah, it's been a whole new experience for me going through these discs, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm going to be sad when it's done, you know, honestly.
Well, you do own it. You could start again.
Well, I do. Well, yeah. I'm not gonna- I have other things that
Do
are.
a
I have other
DJ.
things to watch.
Do
you
a
know?
DJ.
Yeah. I'm just gonna start over again now that I'm done.
Or like me, just never finish. Don't, like Chuck.
Yeah, I'm
still
not
haven't
gonna
done
watch the
final
last episode. Yeah.
It's not over yet. I haven't seen it. No. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I actually asked Jen if she wanted to start again, and she's like, "We didn't finish the last time we started again." I go, "I know, but we could still start again, because now I have them all on Kaleidoscape too."
Right.
Kaleidoscape just upgraded all of them to 4K.
Are they all done? I knew they were doing it in stages.
The last 2 or 3 seasons just dropped, I think last week, on Kaleidoscape and Atmos, 4K Atmos. I mean, they'd been there before, but not in 4K and Atmos. Right. So, all right, I will do a couple of quick ones here. First up, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Any of you boys seen this one?
Haven't seen it, but I love Nick Cage, so.
Oh, what do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I've got the 4K disc. It was okay, is what I would say. The longer it went on, the less I was interested in it. It started off a lot more fun, I thought, and then it kind of just, I don't know, I got a little bored as it went on. I think I'd had too much Nicolas Cage by then. And I just, it's not one I'll watch again, I don't think.
I definitely want to watch it again, because, and I'd be interested to hear John's take on it, because this is one of those movies that, now home theater-wise, I'll say up front, this didn't blow me away home theater-wise. I thought it was okay. I mean, it didn't take me out of it. There wasn't anything wrong. I thought the picture, I thought, was really good. It was nice, but then when they get to Spain, that's where he ends up having to go. It really, like, I thought the palette became more vibrant and everything, just like it would be. Like, Steve, you've been to Spain, so maybe. But, I mean, it just felt like as an American, he's coming out of, like, smoggy L.A., and then he goes to Spain. It's like, it just felt nicer. I did notice that. There's a scene that he goes into scene. It's fairly early on in the movie, and when I say he goes into scene, Nick Cage is being coaxed into acting something out. And when he goes into the scene, these like drums kick in, and your room just goes, it like, that was kind of cool. But other than that, there wasn't really a lot that kind of like just blew me away. I mean, there's some gunshots in it that were nice, and there was some action, but story-wise, like you said, Steve, is like, at the beginning it's kind of fun. I would love to, not right away, like give it some time, give it like a year and go back. And I think you might be different about it because the story is within the story. Like they're talking about the story and there's a part of it, they're writing a story. And then as it goes on, there's things that happen in the beginning that actually end up happening in the end that they talk about at the beginning and that you're doing. So it was just like your head is spinning trying to figure, because it's supposed to be Nick Cage, like him in real life, right? And it's like, as they describe it, a fictionalized version of his real life. And, but it's kind of cool. Pedro Pascal, I thought was fantastic. I thought all the people were fantastic. I thought all the characters were fun, but it's a little bit of leave your brain at the door. But at the same time, I thought the story writing was pretty creative. I thought it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it. So, but it's very comical and, it's supposed to be light, but I found a little depth in it. Okay. My next one, I'll be really quick on as well. How to Train Your Dragon 2. I don't know what else these things are absolutely fantastic. How did I not know there were 2 of these when I saw the trailer for 3? Every time I mention it to my family, they're like, these are the best movies ever. My kids have seen them. I hadn't seen them. But home theater wise, they are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I didn't take any notes on this. I just let this thing wash over me. But there was one, I had to wait till the very end of the movie to say to my wife, I'm like, did you notice that when Toothless came back, and I don't want to give away how he comes back or whatever, but when Toothless comes back, like the sun came out. And it's like I was watching this movie with my home theater critical eye, and I'm like, oh, it's dark. I'm like, is that my projector? One of those, like, is my projector not bright enough type things, right? And it's like, but everything's overcast. But then all of a sudden there's this moment towards the end of the movie where Toothless comes back. And it's just like, now there's like, what? Like the sun's out and everything's vibrant. And hey, all right, we're back to, it was so good. And I said to her, I go, did you notice that? And she goes, I don't remember it, but I do remember everything being bright again, and it is. But what they can do, I mean, I don't know. Have you guys ever seen any animation? Are you familiar with animation? It's fantastic what they can do nowadays.
Anything animated. Yeah.
Animated features are so good, you guys. You're missing out if you're not watching them. It's what they can do, and it's with contrast and color and everything, because it's all literally filled in. It's just unreal. It is so good. The details that you're seeing in each of these little dragons, the big dragons, the close-ups on the dragons, looking into the eyes of these characters. So good. Really, really enjoyed that movie. I can't wait for 3. Are they making a 4?
No, it finished. When you see 3, you'll know why.
I know. I was talking to my son-in-law, and I go, I think I figured out 3. I figured out what the story's about, and he's like, "You're close." He goes, "You're very close," but yeah. So, all right. What do you got next? Go to your last one, the one that didn't win the poll, Steve.
Yeah, this is the second one. Yeah. This one was something like 28%, and the last one was 51%. So Black Adam. Only halfway through it, for the record. Yeah. However, I think that's long enough to be able to form a proper view of I've seen the film before.
Right.
I really like the movie. I don't love it. I see all the flaws in it, but it's a fun movie, and I never get bored of watching The Rock, overly beat up, goons and all the rest of it. And there's a lot of that in this. I don't dislike the film. So that's that. Now, in terms of the
Todd Anderson doesn't like it.
Yeah, Todd, exactly. He said, take the disc and roll it down the hill. Didn't he?
Did he say throw it?
So, yeah, he doesn't like it at all. But he does accept that it looks and sounds good.
Yes.
And with that, I 100% agree. Video-wise, it's not perfect, because I've noticed some shimmering on some of the statues, and there's a little bit of shimmering on the Warner's logo at the beginning as well. Not a lot, but it's there, and it's enough to just nudge the video down a bit for me. But having said that, it looks beautiful. I mean, this is another one of those lovely Warner's discs where you've got these lovely inky blacks, beautiful color saturation. Sorry?
His suit.
Yes,
the
well,
blacks.
that's the detail level. Yeah, the opening logo is you've got darkness, and then you've just got this beautiful kind of sunset screen, which looks absolutely gorgeous. And then you've got the with the wizards and all the different colors and everything else. And I haven't got to the bit where the suit becomes much brighter. But it looks beautiful. I mean, Warner's have done a really good job on the vast majority of it. The detail levels on the suit just look incredible. Again, I've put some pictures up on Twitter just so I couldn't help myself. And there were just minute, tiny little hieroglyphics on the suit that you can now see that you couldn't see before, and certainly when I last saw it. And it looks great. And matching that is then the audio, which I think is very good indeed, to the point where I think it's pretty much reference, if not almost there. It's there. I've seen a review criticizing the LFE on this, saying it's not deep enough. Yeah. Now I can't. I mean, I know at the beginning, perhaps when they're giving the recounting the story of Kandak and how it all started, the bass on that's a little more muted deliberately because there's a voiceover, so you can't really do both. Exactly. But then once you get into the fights and you get into the opening sequence with the with the soldiers, I mean,
every time he enters a room.
Walk through a wall. Yeah, I mean, you get it's really nice, and the ship flying around, and you've got the missiles and the guns and everything. I mean, it's really, really nice. Yeah. And so I was having a not quite literal blast with it earlier on. I was really enjoying it until then I had to, obviously break off for work. But it was really, really good. And I mean, this is a very, very solid disc. And the lightning, the other thing, special mention of the lightning, that it glows, it's so, the saturation of it's beautiful. You've got kind of white in the middle and then blue on the outside of it, and it just, comes off the screen. And almost I reactive as well, which was exactly what it should be. It kind of crackles with, it looks dangerous, it looks powerful, and all that's just a CGI effect, and yet it was really, really good. So I'm very, very pleased with that disc. And so thanks, John, for suggesting that I look at it, because I probably would have left it. So when you said last night, actually, I really want you to look at that, I was like, oh, go on then. Yeah, that's great. So I'm very glad that you suggested I do.
Have you seen the disc, John?
Awesome.
Did you watch
No,
the
I
disc?
haven't. No, I saw it at the theater. I just didn't know that Steve had already seen it. So I was more interested in what your thoughts of the movie were, but you had already seen it, so because it was very divisive. Some people, DJ and I both liked it quite a bit, but a lot of people just think it's garbage. So I was wondering how you came down. It is a disc that's on my list to pick up. I just haven't bought it yet. So
it'll be one of his Black Friday in November.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, I very rarely pre-order or buy a disc full price. I'm just not that guy. I wait till it's $10 off or $15 off, and I buy it.
You have stacks from November you haven't seen.
I bought Heat yesterday for $9.
Oh, nice!
So,
nice.
I can wait, because I have a, like you said, I have a stack I haven't watched yet, so I'm in no hurry. I did pre-order, I pre-ordered and paid full price for Maverick, and that's, I think, the only disc I've ever. Well, no, the Skywalker set I bought at full price too.
You bought that before I did.
Well, yeah, because I thought it was going to be limited. Now it's on clearance, so I guess I could have waited. But yeah, I bought mine before I even told you about it because I wanted to make sure they didn't run out.
I remember that. That's funny. Like, I got mine. Okay, DJ, you can order now. So the 15 minutes it took you to order, I might have missed out.
Yeah, but I don't really. I very rarely pay full price for discs, unless it's Lawrence of Arabia, and then I pay twice what the retail is. So,
You and me both.
yeah.
But it was, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. This is much more fun. I think as long as you don't take it too seriously, it's a
Right.
standalone movie to all intents and purposes. It's not going to be repeated. You're not going to see
Nope.
this again. By the time they circle back round to this, Dwayne Johnson will be too old to play the character.
Yeah.
And it'll be someone else. So it's a standalone fun movie watching The Rock just kill people.
Right.
It's fun. I mean, it's just frothy entertainment.
Yep.
And and it might, and the editing might be choppy and it might not make a lick of sense, but who cares? It looks great, sounds great, and it's just tongue-in-cheek fun.
Yeah.
And what's wrong with that?
was fun.
So yeah.
Yeah, Mark V, I think, said it was awkward seeing him sitting in the chair on the throne.
Yeah, I saw your
And I was like,
I saw your response to that.
that's the point. I'm like, as you get to the end of it, you're like, I think that's the idea. But yeah,
I'm looking forward to rewatching my 4K disc of The League of Super Pets because Dwayne Johnson is in that as Black Adam's dog and as Superman's dog, but also playing Black Adam at the end as well. So it's all very weird and meta.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
But I've
got the 4K
movie,
disc.
Super Pets?
Yeah.
Is that a good one?
It's good. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, you guys will love it because
I wanted
you've
to
got
see
loads
it.
of in-jokes and references to other DC properties.
So
and characters.
would that be one worth picking up? Because it's on Kaleidoscape, but I could also get it on HBOMax, but worth picking up?
The animation on it's really nice. Now, I saw it in Spain and I saw it on a
I am
small screen.
familiar
It
with
wasn't in
animation.
4K. Yeah, that's it. That's what I hear. I saw it in Spain on a 27-inch screen, whatever it was they had in the villa. So I haven't seen it on a big screen, but it looked really nice. And the 4K disc, I'm sure, will be fantastic. I've got it. I just haven't got around to seeing it again yet. But there are loads of in-jokes, and you've got loads of stuff about, Batman having a dog that's also black, and them both having lost their parents, and it's all their kind of their bonding. I mean, it's very fun, and it's worth. I think you guys will get a kick out of it. Again, being comics guys, knowing your DC from your Marvel, I think you'll enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to watching it again now, having seen Black Adam.
Cool. All right. I am going to skip over the Batman this week for brevity because we are going, and I will finish the movie this week and I'll talk about it in its entirety again next week. But let's get to this. It's the title of the show, guys. It's the milk at the back of the store. All three of us have seen it. The Last of Us on HBOMax, streaming in Dolby Vision and 4K Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. I loved it. I can't wait for next week's episode. I love the story. I love Pedro Pascal. I love who's the one? She's from Game of Thrones as well. What's her name?
Yeah. I don't know her. I don't know the actress's name. She
She's
played on
great.
Mormont in Game of Thrones.
She's great. And home theater experience. I can't wait for next week. I mean, I thought there's dark scenes. There's lots of detail. I'm not very high on HBO Max's streams, but this one here, I really like the stream. I did not mess with it. I did not mix it with my projector. I just thought it was great. I was riveted. And my question of if it's going to be an hour and a half each episode, I kind of might be down for that, even though I know you said it's not. But you're kind of... I didn't play the game, so I'm not familiar with anything. From what I understand, this is like kind of dead on. So maybe people that have played the game might be a little bored because they kind of know what's going to go happen.
Yeah, I completed the game again, the PS remake of it, which is the same game just with the new video and audio, which is fantastic, by the way. And I only completed that in October, November, so I've recently done it, and it is identical. I mean, the pilot episode, the first episode, is the game beat for beat for beat for beat. I mean, I'm a little surprised they revealed some of the special things about Ellie so soon, but what makes her special, spoiler free. I was a bit surprised at that, but otherwise it's beat for beat, to a T. It's basically the first two chapters of the video game. I can't review the home theater experience because unfortunately over here we don't have HBO Max, and so the only way I can watch it over here is via a bit of a crappy app that we've got here called Now TV, and it's only in 2-channel stereo and it's only 1080p. So I'm not gonna. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna look and sound great when I get the 4K disc.
Oh yeah.
But the story is, the story is really good. I wasn't bored, and I've played the game through twice on the PS4 and the 5. It's not a, it's an interesting story. I'm surprised they didn't show some of the creatures that are coming, but those are in the trailers, so there's no spoilers there. There are infected coming that are not just your zombies that you saw at the beginning. I worry that those that haven't played the game, because I saw it with someone who said to me, it's The Walking Dead with virus, isn't it? And I'm like, no, it's not. There's more to it than that.
Oh, you said that?
And so, yeah.
John?
I said, no, there is more to it than that. There is, because I know what's coming.
No, I didn't say that to Steve, but yeah, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be the downer here a little bit because again, home theater experience, I thought it was great. I haven't played the games, and I am optimistic for this show because I've heard that it's fantastic. Like everybody talks about the game and how great the story is, but watching the first episode, I felt like I've seen this show 100 times already. Like I didn't see anything that I haven't already seen on every single zombie, vampire, post-apocalyptic. Like I've seen this done to death. So I didn't hate it. Like I said, I thought it was what they did. They did very well. The production quality was great. Pedro Pascal was great, but it didn't show me anything that I haven't already seen before. But again, I've heard great things about it, so I'm definitely on board, and I'm going to keep going. I did make the mistake of going into some forums on Facebook, and so I already know the giant spoiler that's going to come in Season 2, Episode 1, that it really hacked me off that somebody put that out there already. But, and I'm not going to spoil it here for those that don't know. But yeah, I just felt like I've seen this already, it didn't surprise me. Nothing surprised me, but I'm waiting to be I'm willing and open to be surprised and delighted by it. I can't wait to see more. But
if it reassures you, because I do know what's coming. Again, I've completed the second one as well, but that was on the PS4. This is a story that if it does go close to Walking Dead, it goes back to the original Walking Dead seasons where it was a small group. When it had a small group of people or even two people, and you know who those two people are likely to be because they're on the posters, and it's about character, and it's about their journey, and it's about loss, and it's about finding your place in the world when your place in the world was lost, and these two learn to lean on one another, and it's about their relationship. You've got creatures, you've got horrible, humans that are out to kill everybody and anybody, but their central relationship is what drives the story, and that is what you had sort of to an extent in Walking Dead when it was good, as you say, and if they can nail that relationship, and by all accounts they have, because there are a number of people that I know who have seen most of this. And talking about wait till episode 3, wait till episode 4, that to make me think that they've nailed that, and if they have, then it will take flight for those that don't know what's coming. So those, like you say, guys, if you're thinking, well, I've seen this before, and I completely understand why you'd say that, because I get it. It's World War Z.
Right. It's
Strain. It's 28 days later.
Right. It's everything.
It's everything you've seen before. But there is
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So it had some heavy lifting to do in this episode to get it moving to where it needed to be. But you will find as it moves on that relationship will build and grow, and it becomes a much more subtle but also in-depth kind of character piece than just what you see in the first one. It is beat for beat from the game so far, and so what's coming next is much more heartfelt. So even if you've got the running zombies, and they're not like they were in that, because the infected get worse as time goes on. So it will change, but that relationship should build to the point where you will care much more about the characters and kind of their trials and tribulations than you would have done in The Walking Dead, or it's not just become hundreds of zombies running at the screen. That's not what you get. So yeah, it is. It's well worth sticking with. And I'm looking forward to the disc. I mean, I would much rather watch this on disc, but everyone's talking about it. And if there are any unusual events, I want to see it as they come up, because I think I know exactly what's going on with this. Because again, I've completed the game recently. So yeah, no, it's really good. I was really pleased with it. And again, I've had two separate people since I saw it last night say, oh, it's just Walking Dead, isn't it? But I've tried to reassure them, as I have you, that there is more to it. It's not as it appears. And if you can get beyond the first couple of episodes when that relationship will develop, then I think it'll be a home run.
Oh,
and
definitely,
and you'll be very pleased with it. Yeah.
I'm on for the whole thing. There's no question that I'm going to watch it. I just, like I said, I felt like I felt, after one episode.
Quite.
Now, and I will say, this is not a spoiler. It's just a detail that I noticed that I loved. It opens in 1968 or so on a talk show, and I just loved that they were smoking and drinking on TV. It's like you would not see that today, but you absolutely saw it in the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was great.
Merv Griffin.
But
it was like Merv
Dick
Griffin.
Cavett or one of those shows.
Well, they had to get to 20 years later, you see, because that's what happens in the game. So they had to go from a year to then get 20 years later, so everything has fallen apart. Which is how at least it looks a bit different to The Walking Dead, because you've got more scale and sweep. So yeah, that's what they had to do. So when they went 20 years later, I'm okay, we know where we are. So whereas that was a bit weird in the game. So yeah, no, it was good. It's a nice little opening. I thought that was good. That's what's his face from The Mummy. It is what's his name? The guy that says it.
I can't think of his name either.
Yeah, oh god, I should know. He's very famous over here. But he, and I thought that was a nice little line as well.
Both of them. The other
what
guy,
happens? We lose.
The other guy I knew as well. I can't think of either one of their names. But both of the guys that were on that talk show, I've seen in many other things.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was good. It bodes well, doesn't it? Bodes well for next week, and as it builds. As I said, I wish I could see it in 4K. I wish I could see it in Atmos. I look forward to that.
What did you think of the picture and sound, John?
No, I thought it was great. Like I said, home theater wise, I thought it was fantastic.
Especially for HBO.
Like you said, HBOMax can be hit or miss, just like Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
But I thought they did a great job with it. It was really good.
Yeah, this is up there with
but again,
House of the Dragon.
Same, it won't touch the disc, right? So, I'm hoping I like the series enough that I'll be wanting to pick up the 4K disc.
Yeah.
I assume I will. But I don't not every show I watch I turn around and buy the disc. So it'd have to be something that I really think would be good. Yeah.
There were lots of little Easter eggs in there for those of us that did play the games. Like the playing of a guitar becomes important as the games progress. In the back of Joel's sort of shack that he's living in the present time, you can see his guitar behind him. And also there's a couple of shots in the first episode of light coming through a window, and you've got the curtain, the drapes. Sorry, guys. All right. Yeah. Curtain.
I know what a curtain
billowing
is.
In the wind a little bit, and you can see the dust motes, and that's the loading screen of the game. So that's when you first turn the game on, you get that screen, and that's that music playing. So that was quite a nice little touch for those of us that have played it. It's like, I know that. Yeah. So it's done with heart, and obviously the producer, the exec producer, and the writer is the same guy that did the games, Neil Druckmann. Right. So you've got that throughput. You're not got another creative vision looking at it. Hopefully, so far they are avoiding the video game curse. But we will, we'll see how it develops. But by all accounts, it's great. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think I thought like the sound was pretty dynamic for streams. That's usually where you get it's lacking. I should say
pictures are usually always pretty
good, right? And then you'll get a little bit more clarity on the disc, but the sound is where it's gonna really shine on the disc. But I thought the bass in this, like the low end of it, I thought was really nice. There was some rumbles in there, in the score as well, like setting the mood and stuff. So I thought, and then I think the disc is just going to be that much better, right? I don't think HBO found a way to get you better sound through streaming. I just think that the dynamics of this is going to be that much better on disc. But it's a great streaming experience. I can't wait to talk about it every week. And it's like, I mean, unfortunately you don't have the Atmos over there, but you got Prey in Atmos, so
there you go. So you're just getting your own back.
Yeah, right.
yeah,
right.
there you go. So we still haven't seen
talking about that, if you
that.
mentioned Prey, Amber Mild Thunder was interviewed, and she says there is a sequel coming.
Oh,
Awesome.
nice.
So, yeah, they're out there having conversations with it. It is on its way. So yeah, it's just come out today. It's been a thing. So yes,
Nice. Kaleidescape started doing this thing. It's called Season Pass, and they're doing it with Yellowstone right now, unless Yellowstone completed. But they did it with season 3 of Yellowstone, where you would you could buy it on Kaleidescape the day after it aired. And you'd get, so you'd buy your season pass, and then you would just get your version the next day. And they also did it with Abbott Elementary season 2. I've never watched the show. They only have 2 series on there, but I was hoping they would do that with this one, because they have all of HBO on there. And they're just adding like I said, they just upgraded the Game of Thrones. So I was hoping they would do the same thing here. I also checked to see if they do it with Jack Ryan. They didn't do that either. So who knows? Maybe someday. But it's fantastic.
I feel like those streamers don't want to drive people away from their channels, though. Yellowstone and Abbott Elementary happen on like, Paramount Plus. Like, you can get those on your regular cable channels for free,
Yeah.
Whereas these are, like, HBOMax wants you to go to HBOMax and watch their show. And
Right.
So I think that's probably, again, I could be wrong, and I have no information, so I don't know anything. But
No, you're right.
But I feel like they
It's-
want you to go to
yeah.
their service to watch those, because HBO Max actually, they increased their subscription rate, just because of this show.
Really?
Based on
They
the
knew
fact
they
that
could
they thought
because
how
of
many
the show.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so starting next month, it goes up like $1 a month or something like that.
Right. This
So-
runs through March.
Right.
So yeah, you can start now, but it's going to be $1 more next month. And,
Right. So I think so they want you to go there.
But
and watch
the
it.
prices, like, let me look it up. Let's see. Abbott Elementary's $30 for a season.
for the season.
Yellowstone. Oh, they're on season 5. Season pass for Yellowstone season 5, $45.
Yeah, that's because it's the number one show on TV.
$44.99. So,
they
but
can
you
do
see what I
that.
mean? Like, what if they
Right.
The Last of Us, if they came in at $45 and I could watch it on Kaleidoscape the day after it drops, I'm in, because I'd have the disc version right away.
Right, and then you're owning it forever, right?
And I'm
It's not
owning
just-
it forever, but I
So
also
that's
have
just like
HBO,
buying House
right?
of the right,
House
but
of
that's
the
just
Dragon,
like buying
right?
House of the Dragons for $45, except you're doing
Correct.
it before it ends instead of
Right.
after.
But
it
still,
ends.
it's
Yeah.
like, but they would have my money now, and it's like, it'd be, I understand what you're saying. It's like they're thinking of the masses, but yeah, so, but yeah, it's that good. So looking forward to talking about that again next week. Won't be the title of the show next week, but that was my other Charles Bronson reference. Is it just me, or do you see Charles Bronson and Pedro Pascal in this?
Yeah, I see more Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Really?
definitely
Yeah,
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah. But yeah, there is a bit of young Charles Bronson in him as well.
Charles Bronson, yeah.
But Burt Reynolds all day long. There's been stuff on Twitter today
he's gonna
about,
play Burt. Yeah, he's gonna play Burt Reynolds in the biopic, I'm sure.
the remake of Smokey and the Bandit.
Yes, exactly. Unfortunately, Coors Light can now go across the Mississippi, but who knew? All right. That should do it for this week. We're getting out of here on time for Steve.
Yeah,
this
look
week.
at that.
Steve.
Right on time for Steve.
Yeah. I saw him looking
Got a long
at his
day
time.
teaching tomorrow.
Oh, I feel for your students.
Oh, it's okay. Feel for the students.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I just
Not you.
Not
Yeah, don't worry
you.
about me.
I'm-
Yeah, I'll be crotchety with them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like sitting on a bus bench. You gotta work.
It is
that.
kind of hard to explain when I
gotta
say to them
work
in the
that
morning, sorry if I'm tired, guys. What do I say? I was up late recording
I was
a
up
podcast
podcasting,
on home
yeah.
cinemas with two guys in America till midnight. What?
Right.
Why? Where
Yeah,
was
yeah.
I? This week they were like, somebody was telling me you can watch they got everything on YouTube. I went, yeah, me. So you
Yeah.
know they have everything. I was like, what? Oh, yeah, it's not good. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Oh, boy. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, whatever you're doing. Please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. Haven't said that in a while. What do we got to mash besides potatoes?
We got to go push play.
No, mash that like
Oh,
button.
mash the
Like
like
button,
button.
like button.
Mash the like button, yeah.
We went over this in rehearsal.
You're mixing metaphors for me, man. It's the end of the show. I say go push play. That's it. Don't throw me any curveballs.
John's like, I had one line.
Yeah.
Don't add more. Oh, we're so professional. All right, boys. Thank you to everybody. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, John. We'll be back next week. Oh, I have an awesome guest coming up on Tuesday. The man of many men, dad jokes on Tuesday.
Oh, Omar. Awesome.
Yeah.
Omar. Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
It was a tough get.
Oh, cool.
It
Yeah.
was a tough
Yeah,
get.
he's elusive as our Omar.
He
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
So
Too
we'll
busy
get-
writing jokes.
Yeah, my wife
Yeah.
loves those jokes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I love them. My whole family
they're
is
great.
like, "Did you see Omar's joke this week?" Or today? They're great.
Today, yeah.
They're great. So, all right, yeah, we got that coming up on Tuesday, and then we'll be back again streaming on Tuesday too. So, live at around 4:00, and if you're in the green room, check us out on the pre-show in the green room before the show, getting ready. So great conversations there as well. So thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to everybody everywhere, all the time. John, what do we got to do?
Go push play. Smash that like button.
Steve, how do you say that?
Well, I don't know about mash that like button, but te vas a empujar el botón a jugar would be go and push play in Spanish.
We're out of here.